lot to talk about today. First off, happy birthday, Bella Eloise. Bella's 21, so we're not hanging out tonight, but tomorrow we're gonna go out to dinner, and then she wants to get some drinks.
Happy birthday! Very
That's
cool.
exciting. We got that. We got Shane Cashman's moving down here.
We don't know that
exciting.
No, you can't announce that. Shane Cashman's not moving down here.
It'll be very cool because we've got the big studio. It'll be a really good place for him to raise his family instead of like around all the crazy stuff. So we're excited for that. August 19th, I think, is the move.
He's not moving.
Then we got the Boomers. That was cool that you guys got to see how the Boomers get down.
It was definitely something. I don't know if cool is the appropriate word, but they had concerns.
They were upset. You said, what was the expression they used? I don't like this.
Yeah. She just went straight to it right when I said, hey.
Hold on, guys. Sorry.
They're having some issues? Unbelievable. That was a hot intro, too.
I know. We do this all the time.
Communication.
All right. We're good.
Okay. So, yeah, you were saying the Boomers. Are you going to do your hot intro over again?
I don't know. Did we miss all that? It's still going.
No, we should be good.
Okay.
So was there just no audio that whole time?
Oh, no mic on Raven. We're just crushing. There's only one mic on.
Can you guys hear everybody now?
Yeah, they should be able to hear us.
Did my mic work for the beginning?
You got to forgive us because after unpacking and repacking and getting everything set up for Bohemian Grove, this is the first time we're setting up this studio.
Panda says it sounds like caca.
Sounds like I'm hearing from a speakerphone in the other room. Great sound.
Okay, yeah, I fixed it.
Okay, top is mic'd. All right.
He always is. He makes sure his is good.
We hear you all, but it's fuzzy. And Jin says we're good. Okay, we're good. We're back.
Okay.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. The chat doubles as a production team. They help us to zero in on this. So you were saying,
can you guys hear all of us right now?
Can you hear everybody?
Get some confirmation.
Thumbs up if so. Okay,
you good now, Qui-Gon?
Like
you good now?
All right.
Matt is good now.
Thanks, FJ.
Okay. Hey, shout out to Qui-Gon.
No, you good?
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Okay.
Whatever.
So so the couple of things that we
you said Bella's turning 21.
Bella's turning 21.
Very cool.
So that's exciting. August 11th. And little known fact, my niece, Bella's cousin.
What's wrong with your niece?
Turns 20 today. They have the exact same birthday 1 year apart.
Oh, really?
So happy birthday, cousin Ava.
That's very cool.
She lives in Cali. She's really cool.
Shout out to cousin Ava.
So we got that. We've got Shane Cashman's moving down here.
Shane Cashman's not moving down here.
August 19th, I think he's moving down.
Shane Cashman is visiting.
So we'll have like a 4-person team in here, if you will, which will be really exciting.
Okay.
Cashman does a lot of really cool stuff. I'm surprised that he would like come down to our level, but
well, he's going to come and visit. We're going to have him in studio. I just have to clarify because you say all sorts of things and people believe them.
Yeah. What do you
Shane
mean?
Cashman's not moving.
You don't know that he's not, dude.
I have it on good authority because he said that he's just coming down here and he's
no, but some things have changed in his life in the last week or so, and potentially he would move here. So,
I mean, I'll put it out there. I would love to have Cashman be a part of what we're doing here. He'd be a tremendous addition to, just this whole operation. But he's coming down to do a IRL show on the 19th, not to move his entire life.
Okay, he's just coming down to like find a spot, like to look at land.
What's so wild about this is we've already had this entire conversation like 10 minutes ago in this exact same fashion.
Yeah.
And we're doing it again. And
well,
that's awesome.
Matt has not heard you.
It's also fascinating because for people that see the way that I argue with Matt on the show, and then he very sternly says, "You've never told me this thing," or like, this is a great example of like, yes, I have. We've been very explicit with each other, but by the end of this show, we'll be arguing about whether or not Shane Cashman is moving down here or not.
Okay, all I'm saying is you don't know for sure that he's not moving here.
I was very explicit again, only moments ago, but
he's potentially moving here.
I didn't hear
so
that
Raven
at any point in any of these conversations.
Is the same as me saying he is. We don't know.
I feel like Shane Cashman moving here is like the same possibility as me moving here due to the fact that I am currently here, and I'm not.
I knew you wanted to move here too, dude.
Well, I think you're actually breaking news to him right now
Right.
by telling him that you're not moving down here
A
full
lot
time.
of people come here and they're just like, yeah, why wouldn't I live here?
The humidity.
That's fair. Really?
The brutal.
No, you're just at the worst
oppressive
time,
humidity.
It's not been
very
treating
sad.
you well?
No, it's very sad, dude.
You can farm year round, a lot of fruit trees.
I'm a big boy. I'm corn-fed Indiana folk, and this is brutal.
You and your family would love it here, bro.
I do like the heat. I'm a fan of the heat. But yeah, nevertheless, Shane Cashman not moving down here. Sorry to break the news, but look forward to
But we'll be
him
visiting.
IRL. He will be visiting.
It's going to be
really
great.
Cool. So,
Top, you look great, man.
Do I?
Yeah.
Yeah, I look shady out here.
You do. You look like you're up to no good.
I don't think you're shady. All right. So what we're going to do today is we're actually on Sermon on the Mount, episode 22, Top?
Yeah.
So we're Sermon on the Mount, episode 22. This is going to be a very special hybrid episode because Zach's going to sit in with us. We're going to jump into Zach's life story if we can, and then roll right into the Matthew 6, 19 through 24 that we're already in on Straight Bible.
Let's do
We're
it.
already in Sermon on the Mount series on Straight Bible. So to do a little back and forth, because to get from 19 to 24 is going to be several weeks of episodes anyway. So this will just be right in the middle of that where we kind of chew on the whole thing. I really hit 19, 20, and 21 last week, but it's really all one section.
For sure.
So first off,
We'll probably have to reference it quite a bit, but
yeah.
Yeah.
So right from the jump, can you just tell us a little bit about your story, how you came to Christ, how long you've known the Lord, what your upbringing was, and how you got connected with NDS, Straight Bible?
So I was raised in the church, Christian household. They taught me well. I mean, to know who God is, to understand the fact that there is a God. I can honestly say at no point in my life have I ever really wrestled with whether or not there's a God. I've seen him too active in my life and my family's life. But I guess my story is pretty commonplace in that, I did the thing where you get into high school and then you just go off the rails.
You become edgy.
You get edgy.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, dude, I was a super nerd growing up, and I've reverted back into nerd past being cool because cool didn't work so hot. But I did the thing in high school where it was I was good at music, and my high school actually cared about music. So choir was a big deal in my school for whatever reason. And so I kind of leaned into that. And then
Were you
I started
in church choir too?
Nah, kind of. I did some special music stuff at church. I would play on the band occasionally, but not
So
huge.
growing up in church, you weren't part of the leadership or whatever.
No.
You weren't on stage, but you were just raised in the church.
You weren't a coveted member? Were you a coveted member of your church?
A covenant member?
Were you a coveted member?
I don't know.
I
They've
don't
got
know
a
how
weird
the
thing at their
expression
church.
goes.
And also we need to know what denomination.
I mean, it was a, quote unquote, Christian church. So I think that's technically Disciples of Christ, but they never put a ton of emphasis on the you're saved by baptism thing that the Disciples of Christ can lean into. So it was a pretty almost non-denominational kind of feel,
Sure.
Or at least that's what I got out of it. So maybe they were a little more expressive in some of those things and I just didn't pick up on it. But high school got off the rails. College got worse because then I was just I had no oversight. My parents are not there to stop me.
Where did you grow up at and where did you go to college at?
So I'm from, I was born in a small town. If you know who John Mellencamp
born
is,
in a small town.
that's my town that I grew up in. So Seymour, Indiana.
That, actually.
Yeah, you know it. It was chill. It was fine. Small. It's not that small is the thing. It was it's small, but it's 30,000 people. And I mean, it was cool. It was a cool upbringing. Party school, and did my thing there.
What state is all this in?
This is Indiana.
Okay, got it.
Indiana. I'm sorry.
Indiana, weird place, by the way. I was
Seems
talking on a
strange,
previous
yeah.
show, and there was that show when we were growing up called Erie, Indiana.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Goosebumps,
Yeah.
but Indiana. And it's actually a great show. Holds up really well. My son was watching it, and there's a little thing for the audience from NDS because we share some people in common, Matt and us. But they had this episode where this guy got braces. He had a big contraption like they used to do, in all the cartoons.
The helmet?
Yeah, kind of like the helmet braces thing. It's like a big, like the gear, right? With the wires and everything. And he starts picking up the thoughts of his dog. And it's just funny because we talk about that all the time.
Dude. That's like the Lucille Ball picking up on
exactly.
frequencies.
Well, I've said previously that throughout Looney Tunes and a bunch of other cartoons, childhood entertainment, they will insert that theme. Just getting braces, picking up music, picking up people's thoughts. Erie, Indiana, I think it's the first episode they do that. It's and it holds up. It's a good show. My son is pretty into it right now.
Yeah, I mean, Indiana is definitely weird. A lot of high strangeness, few cults and whatnot.
Yeah, a lot of cryptid.
Yeah, for sure. But I don't know. It was chill. It wasn't anything crazy. It was your normal childhood, and did the whole falling away thing in college. Cheated on a girlfriend, which sent me a downward spiral for a while.
No way, bro.
That was not good.
So you had a chick and like just something happened at a party one night?
Yeah, I actually like did giving way too much detail, but like I stopped the process, you know what I'm saying? And then ended up calling her and telling her, and then that didn't work out. Well, that just like my fragile little brain at that moment, dude, like I snapped and I was like, well, I guess like, which this is where I was at the time. I was like, well, if God's not going to like save my relationship, even though I did the right thing here by stopping this and telling her whatever, that didn't save the relationship. I'm just going all the way off the rails. So I like committed to it, which is not good. Don't do that. And then that, you know, you start drinking like crazy, sleeping around like crazy, and it falls apart. So I do what?
I said, who'd have thought?
Yeah, who'd have thunk it? I hit kind of this rock bottom spot, dropped out of college, and I knew I was bad because my parents, when I told them, they were like, okay. It's like, oh no, like they think they know this
we
is
kind of
bad.
saw this coming.
Right. And so they let me leave school. I went back, I got my license in cutting hair, and I started a rock band, and then we toured around for like, I don't know, 5 years trying to go make it. And we had some decent successes and whatnot, but like all that stuff.
It was like Christian music?
No.
Oh,
No.
You were going hard?
Yeah.
What was it like comparable to? What was this band like?
We called it angsty white boy music because that's what it sounded like.
That's fair.
It was like, I mean, like, okay, like we played with like Fuel a few times.
Oh,
we
that's
played
cool.
with, or we opened for Joan Jett, Cheap Trick, Heart.
Wait, you guys were like really good?
No, I mean, we were solid. We weren't
What'd you
famous
play?
or anything. I sang in the band. But it just kind of perpetuated all the crap I was trying to escape. You know what I'm saying? Because now it's like, oh, well, now I drink for free. And now I'm doing this thing where girls just approach me instead of me having to go out. And it was bad, dude.
And
like,
that debaucherous lifestyle is part of the image.
What
like
was the
it's
music
all
like
ingrained.
though? Like I gotta know. I get it. You opened up for them, but like, what's like it was like Blink 182, or
we started
like
very
Korn?
like pop punk, and then we progressively got harder and harder. Like it went like more like probably
Sugar Ray?
like Breaking Benjamin sort of vibes.
I like
it-
Breaking Benjamin.
yeah, I mean, it was goofy. You know, looking back, I'm kind of like, okay,
That's
that
awesome,
happened, I
dude. You got to
guess.
play in a rock band. Though.
That is cool. I've heard, so, you know, growing up and having my friends that were musically inclined, it is not out of the realm of possibilities to open up for bands like that.
No.
I knew a bunch of guys who like got that far. It's what's interesting is the, you know, I guess maybe just for people out there that have bands that or are inspired to make one, it's like you could, if you get your shit together and it's, you know, good music.
That goes for all the things in life, though,
Yeah.
not just bands.
Well, it's
dude.
very much
so
like
crazy.
podcasting.
You do like Aiden's going through it now, where he's like at work and figuring out like, oh, everybody's not a rocket scientist. Like when you're a kid, you just think everybody that they're whatever they do for a
and
job,
everything,
they have
every
it all
mountain is
figured
so
out.
steep, right?
Yeah, and then you get into you start living, and you're like, well, that guy's actually not that bright. Like I feel like I could do that.
We used to, I used to do mixed martial arts, and it was very common to like know a guy or like to train with Mickey Gall or something like that. Like all these different people were pretty accessible. Once you enter that community, it's just a matter of what I guess what I'm getting at is taking those first few steps and actually dedicating yourself to it. These things are pretty achievable. It's interesting. And I guess music is not an exception.
Well, I mean, in a similar fashion, I didn't even have a podcast, and I reached out to Matt, and you guys let me come on here and talk about the 501c3.
Right.
And then y'all convinced me to go get back into it, whatever. And here we are. But, you know, you got to reach out to people. You got to shoot your shot. And a lot of times people will just say yes, you know. So
You were the first person to ever like reach out to me once I first got on the show.
We were kindred spirits, dude.
We
I
really
heard you
were.
talking
man.
about
if
the
we close that,
501c3.
we won't hear any noise. Do we need that?
Oh, I
open?
can close it. I got it. Okay.
But basically, coming out of all that, I somewhere in the middle of band years, we actually had a house fire in 2017.
What do you mean we?
So I lived with my family at the time, and they had
While
a
you were on
giant
tour?
apartment. But yeah, exactly. And so I kind of worked for my parents when I wasn't touring, or we'd play bar shows, make money, go out, do that thing. We had a house fire, and we lived above our business, so we lost everything.
What was the business?
They owned a cosmetology school, and so they taught people to cut
What?
hair. And we lived above it. The fire took out all of it,
Oh, wow.
and so then we had this like 3-month gap where we didn't have anything
Other
know?
than a pile of insurance money, dog.
Well, no,
Let's
not
go.
really, because the
What?
insurance agent filed it wrong. So we
Oh.
only got money for healthy business, but we lost everything in our house.
Insurance is
Oh,
the
wow.
biggest scam in the
It truly
universe,
is.
dude.
It truly
Actually,
is.
this Bible survived the house fire. It
Nice.
had like 1.1 million gallons of water poured on top
Does
of
it
it.
still-
I've heard of that, dude.
It-
There was
it
a
still smells like
tornado
fire.
here. Geez, it's probably been 20 years ago now that came through Lady Lake and like people died and stuff. And one of the churches that blew over, I knew a guy, Roger Green, went back to his, like when you sit in the same spot every Sunday, he just kept his Bible there, went back to that spot and like dug through the rubble and his Bible
Yeah.
was in there, man.
That's cool.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 3 times the size it was originally, but it's just from the water
Swelled
level.
up
That's
a little
awesome.
bit.
Yeah. But after that, I took a job that summer with a buddy of mine who read meters because he convinced me. He's like, dude, there's good money. You don't have to do it forever. Worst like month of my life. I did not last long. It was awful. I'm
What,
walking
just
Parking
like,
walking
meters?
around from house to house,
yeah,
right?
dude, like 12 miles a day on foot kind of thing. Like
Wait,
just
so
crazy.
like electric meters.
Electric meters.
Okay.
Yeah. Like pepper spraying dogs kind of thing. Not my favorite. And so I'm like walking all these miles every day. I'm dog tired. I'm in a relationship with a girl at that point where we're living in sin. Like we're sleeping together. We're doing
You're
everything
cheating
wrong.
on her.
I didn't cheat. I never did that again. I've never like
Okay.
that ruined me. Like that broke me.
I can
That
see
moment.
that.
Because at that moment, just to talk about that, like up until that point in my life, I thought I knew who I was. And that was something that was totally outside of anything I could see myself doing.
Yeah.
So I think just seeing like, oh crap, I'm capable of things I didn't know I'm capable of,
yeah.
totally reframed my view of
That's
myself.
heavy, dude.
And so that's what kind of sent me into that downward spiral. But no, I mean, we were still doing everything wrong, even though I was like loyal to her. I was not loyal to God, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I fall asleep one night. And this part's kind of fun because I wrote this into NDS Chronicles to tell a little bit of my story back in the day. They
How
read
long
it.
ago?
Yeah, a year and a half ago. It's been a while. But I fall asleep and I have this dream, and I don't remember my dreams very well. I am not David. I don't remember every detail of every dream I've ever had. I remember every detail of this dream vividly. And I wake up, or like in the dream, I like kind of come to, and I'm in this field, and it feels like I'm in this like backwoods sort of Brown County, Indiana. You probably don't know what that is, but it's just like
Brown County? I can take a guess from hanging out with the Raven what that means.
Oh, lots
Heavily-
of black.
no,
No,
actually.
Okay.
We're talking Indiana. There's not a ton of that in
I think I
southern
drove
Indiana.
through. I may have drove through part of Indiana because we headed just kind of west in a straight line, and then somewhere around Indiana we started to head southwest.
Did you
on
hit
our
all the
way to-
mountains?
Well, I
Or
don't
I guess
remember-
hills?
Yeah, just like vast expanses of nothingness, like hills and nothing, hills and
Okay,
nothing.
so Brown County is thick forestry. Like
Okay.
it's like, I mean, it's like nothing but trees. It's
Okay.
very,
And
very pretty.
deer.
It's the prettiest
Lot of
part of the
deer.
state. But it's like I'm in this kind of open field at the edge of like a tree line, and I've got a cornfield in my back, and then I've got a fence behind me. And there's like a glow of a fire, but I don't remember a fire. And I remember this naked redheaded woman starts stepping out of the dark, and she's walking towards me.
Oh,
And she gets up to me,
Something
and
just happened.
I
you wrote in
remember-
with about this,
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
I
yeah,
did.
yeah.
and I remember thinking like, this chick is evil. Like I knew that, but I'm also like not pushing her away and not shoving her away. And she gets up to me, and I let her embrace me.
Right.
Dream flips, and now I'm standing on top of this hill, and it's like these rolling green hills, just as far as the eye can see, beautiful blue, clear skies. And I turn around, and there's this big white house on the hill. And then off to my left, there's this pond, and it's pouring over the side of the hill. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, I wonder where that goes. And so I get down in the water, and I start swimming out to see if I can see the edge. And all these things I get pulled under the water, and there's all these little black shadows in the water, and they're trying to drown me. And so I'm like trying to kick them off of me. And I finally get them off of me, and I pull myself to the edge of the water, and I stand up, I start running, and these things are coming out of the water chasing me. So I run to this white house because I'm like, well, maybe that'll save me. And I can't find an entrance. There's no doors, and all the windows sit too high to get in. But I'm like, this is my only chance, is like somebody opens a window and lets me in or something. And so I keep running around this thing. They eventually retreat back to the water. And I'm like, okay, cool, that's fixed. But I still don't know where that goes. So I walk around the water this time. And when I get out to the edge, I see that this pond is pouring into a river. And there's all these families down on like floaties playing in the water. I think in the when I wrote into Chronicles, I said it reminded me of the episode, or reminded me of Terminator 2, where Sarah Connor is at the playground shaking the fence, and she can't get the people to look at her. But I'm screaming at them and I'm telling them, hey, there's something in the water. You got to get out of the water. You got to get out of the water. And they're just looking at me waving. Dream stops. I wake up and I am like covered in sweat, like just drenched bed. And I am freaking out. I've got this one thought planted in my head. It's two ideas. And it's one, that woman in the dream's name is Tiamat. And I didn't know what that meant.
That's crazy.
And the second is that I'm supposed to tell people about Jesus. And so it's the next night. I go out, do the job, whatever. And I go back to bed that night and I'm laying there and I'm like, okay, you ate something bad. It was just a weird dream. Just go to sleep. And I can't. So I get my phone out and I look up Tiamat and it tells me that she's the Babylonian goddess of the chaos of primordial man and of converging waters. And at that moment, I'm like, oh, crap. Like, that's not nothing.
Like literally the pond
That's
converging
heavy,
into
right.
a river.
Right. And so like that sends me, I go talk to my local pastor. I'm like, hey, look, I think God just told me I'm supposed to be a pastor. Like, cause in my head, that's what that meant. Like you're supposed to go tell people about Jesus. I'm like, oh, that's what pastors do. I'm supposed to be a pastor.
How long ago was that?
2017. Yeah. So it's been a hot minute. And he like talks to me. He's like, well, you know, dude, like if you can think of anything else you would rather be doing, do that. Because this job's brutal. And if God's still putting it on your heart, then you need to pursue it. And I took the next year of my life and I got a job in a kitchen because, you know, my parents got the shop rebuilt and everything, but I'm like, I don't know. It feels like that chapter closed. Like I'm supposed to be moving out, doing my own thing now. I've got to pursue this. So I just started studying the Bible for about a year. And I said, like, you know, I've always started at Genesis and I make it about through the end of Genesis and then I'm burnt out because it just gets too weird, too hectic. There's a lot of names and genealogies and never would get through it. And so I was like, I'm just going to read the New Testament. I'm going to read the words of Jesus and the letters about Jesus. And so I read through the entire New Testament in about a year. And at the end of that year,
because you were steady in it every day and just reading slow, or because you're having a lot of gaps?
I was trying to like comprehend.
Yeah.
And so it was every day, but it was
that.
like I was really trying to process what I was reading. And so I was really like, I'm going to take this time to do this. I'm going to know what it's saying. I get to the book of Revelation about the end of that year. And I get to, I think it's like Revelation 17, 18, 19, somewhere in there. And it says, and to that whore that sits on many waters.
Yeah.
And I get to that and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, what is this? And it says, like it's over the course of these 3 chapters. So I'm summarizing a lot, but he basically says that that's Babylon and she's drunk on the blood of the saints. And it says, come out of her, my people, because inside of her is every unclean thing, every filthy thing. And he's saying like, basically like, you got to get out of this thing. You've got to come out of this system. You got to come out of this goddess, this beast, this monster, because it's going to kill you. And I realized at that moment, like God gives me this crazy, weird dream, very kind of prophetic sort of imagery. And the whole message is just, dude, stop sinning and go tell people about me. But it took that weird shake me awake, give me all this weird imagery moment of like, this is where you are. This is who you are. This is not going to work if you're in her. Come out of her. Go tell people about me. And so it's like, it's woo woo, but it's not. You know what I mean? Like it's very basic.
It's very straightforward.
Yeah, this is like I try to explain to people, and I really hoped that this topic was going to come up when we were talking about how do you hear the voice of God. It's different for a lot of people, but a lot of us, he talks to us through dreams, dude.
Agreed.
And I think for me, especially in the beginning, I think he was like, you just don't shut up. Like when you're awake and you're like you're praying, whatever, just your brain is going and going and going. Like the best time I can get at you is when you're just asleep.
That and like physically exhausted, I think really helped because it was just like, I'm done. I'm beat. You know? But that's where he met me.
But I think that's a number one way that God speaks. And so he communicated to you in a way that was just like a lot more intense. You could have been in prayer and he could have said, hey, you know, come out of her, like come out of that system and go preach that. But it's just sometimes he speaks like different, like more intense.
Well, what's so crazy about that story, just a couple more little woo-woo kind of tidbits to add on there. After telling my parents some of this, my parents tell me this story about before I'm born. Well, sorry, it was right after I've been born. I was a baby. And my dad is holding me on the couch one night. He falls asleep with me holding me. And he wakes up and there's this woman in white standing in front of him. And she tries to take me from him. And so he stands up and he's pulling me back to himself. And he starts screaming for my mom. And when my mom comes in the room, there's nothing there. And he tells her the whole account. He's like, no, this happened. I'm telling you, this is real. I'm not asleep. This is real.
Wait.
Pair that
so
with
this
the
was
Tiamat
this was
thing.
a dream your dad
No,
had?
this was real.
In real life,
Like-
a lady came and tried to grab you out of your dad's
But then
hands.
just gone, like apparition kind of thing. So you take that.
At the house?
I take those two stories and I can't unsee the similarities
Sure.
of like, is this that Babylon language of like trying to lay a claim on a life? And it's like, it's just the hand of God. And so I'm talking to my mom about that 6 months ago. Dude, she messed me up in the car. I was taking her up. She had cancer a couple years ago. And so I take her up for her, was taking her up for her infusions and everything. And she starts telling me, she said, there was actually a time when I was pregnant with you where I stopped feeling you kick. And she said, I just started praying to God because it had been like it was weeks that I hadn't felt you kick. And I was like, did I lose the baby? And she said, I started praying to God and it just said like, hey, please save my son. Like if you save my son, like I will dedicate him to you. I will train him up in the ways of you. I'll teach him who you are. I'll tell him all about you. He's yours. This child's yours. And dude, like that messed me up because I'm telling you everything in me, like who I am.
But your mom had never told you that until like adulthood, like now?
Yeah. She just committed to telling me about God. She didn't tell me the, weird part of the story.
Yeah.
But like that felt heavy for me because I'm telling you, like that whole verse about, even when we are not faithful, he's faithful. My whole life, even now, dude, there's so much in me that like tries to get away from God, that tries to do my thing, the flesh, and like, I'm not great at shutting it off all the time. And still he just pulls me back every time and he puts me back on the right track. And so that landed heavy. And I kind of put those three stories together and it's like, I just see God, how he's been present the whole way through my story, even when I was totally unaware of how involved he was in bringing me back to the course.
This is a weird thing to me, dude, because like, not my parents, but like my grandparents knew the Lord, but like never, other than when I was like 4 years old and my grandma told me like, yeah, God's here right now. They didn't like I'd get to my grandma and grandpa's house and my grandpa would be like reading the Bible, but they never like sat me down and said, bro, let me tell you the story of reality. Like they never did that. And I don't know what that was about, but that kind of just reminded me of that. If your mom like sat on that for so long and your dad sat on that for so long and like never told you, I wonder if some people just pray and they don't actually tell you.
It was sort of like we would spend our time as our family. For instance, like growing up, my mom would read me storybooks, but so many of the stories she would read me, it'd be like, no, this is David and Goliath. Okay, well, this is Jonah. This is Moses.
Yeah.
This is,
yeah.
And she would just tell me Bible stories growing up.
Same. That's how we taught our kids.
Yeah. And so like that was all imparted on me. And so when I went off to school and other people had no idea about these things, like I don't think that ever clicked with me.
Yeah.
But now I really see it.
You have brothers and sisters or?
Yeah, I've got a sister. Totally different situation.
Older or younger?
Younger.
She doesn't love the Lord?
No, not at all.
Yet.
She, and she was raised to.
Sure.
But so she's a lesbian. And
we'll give her time, man.
The last big conversation we had about God, I basically looked at her and I said, hey, look, I don't agree with everything you're doing in your life, but you know that. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that. I said, what I want for you is to know God. I want you to know Jesus. I want you to know that he loves you, that he cares about you. We'll talk about all that other stuff some other time, but you need to know that's who he is. And that hasn't landed with her yet.
That's okay.
Because she just sees like, she looked at me and she said, why would a God who, if a God would make me this way and hate me for it, hate this part about me, then I don't want to love that God.
Yeah, that's a wild discussion because I'm like, I was born with a ferocious appetite to snort Oxycontins, but I don't know. I just wasn't like, oh, if God made me this way and doesn't, it's like, no, I get it. Like I'm in a war and there's stuff in my being that I need to like work on and change.
Yeah, you see that there's two people inside you. There's the old man that's being put to death, and then there's this new creation. She has no understanding of that.
But you're telling her the right thing. You're not saying like, hey, stop hooking up with chicks. You're saying like, hey, go after God.
That's what I want.
He'll deal with it. Like,
yeah, I mean, if she actually seeks God, then that other stuff will fall off later. You know, that's just
Amen.
how it works. We can't not be changed by him.
Yeah.
So basically, after that, I went and applied at a church, and I said, hey, I've got zero pastoral experience.
This is still like 2017-ish, or
this is 2018.
Okay.
And that's the church I'm still at, which is funny because my youth leader at the time was like, there's no way this is going to work. They hired you as an assistant position. You're going to fall off in 2 years. And now I'm a pastor at it. But
no, that's a very intriguing thing, dude. It's like the people who want it, they go get it.
Well, I'll speak to some of that real quick, but like basically I applied with a music video for my band because I hired on as an assistant worship leader. And I said, I've got no training in like, seminary for any of this, but I know how to play music, and
they'll take you for that.
They hired me. And over time I was apprenticed by, we don't have a lead pastor at our church. We have a shared leadership model. So we have
elders, plural.
Well, they use the word pastors.
Same word.
Yeah, exactly. People don't know that. A lot of people don't know that. But elder, overseer, pastor, it's all the same thing. But yeah, we have 4 pastors. There is no lead.
That's cool, man.
So it's all shared, and we all just kind of lean into our own giftings. These dudes just all trained me up, and then they commissioned me.
Dude, I love that's like a biblical model modern church, dude.
It's not in a lot of ways, but yeah. But in that regard, yes, our pastoral team is incredibly healthy, dude.
That's
and those
cool,
dudes,
man.
I love those guys. They're my brothers. Like and it's funny because like I'm 33, Jason's 50, Randy's 70, Bob's somewhere in his 60s. And so it's like we've got this kind of span across the generations, and we all just kind of come together, and we're all working together all on the same page. So it's healthy, man. But I've been in that ever since. I've got a lot of qualms with the 501c3, and yet I feel I've tried to run away from it. I've tried to walk away from it. I tried to quit 3 weeks ago. I'll be honest with you.
You did?
I did.
Bro, when were you going to tell us you sandbagging son of a gun?
Well, they look, dude, it's like I started in those conversations. People are like, yeah, but look at all this good that God is actually doing outside of the system. And they start pointing it all out to me. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, if I'm not going to stand in the gap and try and prepare people for where this thing's headed, if I'm not like, I am in it. I literally told them, I said, stop paying me. They're like, we're not going to stop paying you. I said, please stop paying me. They're like, we're not going to stop paying you. I was like, well, fine. But for the time being, this isn't going to work forever, but I'm going to stand in the gap, and I'm going to just try and prepare people for the fact that I think we're headed for a future where this system is not going to be here. Like
we're told them straight up like
I've told them that from the stage.
Yeah.
You mean the deterioration specifically of that 501c3 model, like everybody's kind of accustomed with?
So you guys use the 501c3. I think the more accurate term, and I use that because that's how people kind of talk about it.
Sure.
But I think the more accurate term is the church growth model. I think that is the problem. Because that's the system that is built on, we count our wins by how many baptisms we got, how many people are sitting in seats, how much expansion have we had, and how much money's coming in. And so like, I think that's the issue. The 501c3, like you got to think charities are 501c3s. Like,
right.
You know what I'm saying?
The only way that phrase came up is I was just calling it like the denominational church.
And that's
then
why I
you
never
get the people that say, well, we're non-denominational.
Right.
Well, you call it like the song and show. Like
it's announcements, 5 songs and a speech.
That's
I don't care which denomination.
Yeah.
That's what I'm calling the 501c3 system.
So what are you looking at specifically? I mean, I'm sure we've talked about these things on all these shows and throughout all these conversations, but what makes you think that this model is going, specifically that model, that's going to deteriorate, that's going to fall apart?
For every one church that opens, two to three close.
Currently that's
the stat.
That's fascinating because we are in the middle of what people are characterizing as like a resurgence.
Now, given these stats are all from a few years ago, so they may not be updated, but I'm telling you 2 to 3 years ago, this was what was happening. And just from what I'm seeing, I'm not convinced that the resurgence is totally real.
It's not sticking.
Yeah, no kidding.
Well, I think what has to happen is, I mean, this is like the seeds in the soils. Like the seeds will go out, they'll take root, but not all those are going to last.
That's a good,
And so I think you saw this seed planting era. Like I had a buddy's dad who was like, hey man, I'm really wanting to, look into how do I take this to the next step. Well, let's talk about it. Can't talk to him about it. And I hear this from a lot of people where it's like they had this upsurge around the Charlie Kirk stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then it's kind of just fallen back into the vanilla
and
for
I
a lot
think
of
I
people.
kind of saw it kicking up even before that, where all of a sudden a lot of athletes were Christians,
That was
like a
happening,
lot
yeah.
of like famous people were Christians, and even right there, I was like, I don't know
Well,
about
we've talked
this,
about
man.
that. It's like, is it, and maybe this is exactly what you're describing, or at least what is causing that seed to not really take root and not grow into anything, is this idea that it's not for a love of the Lord or a pursuit in developing a relationship with God, as much as it's just a pushback against a system that you don't like. And that system is just like a cultural one, a political one, left-leaning ideology, cultural rot. And so you galvanize to Christianity because it's a stark contradiction, but that's not trying to develop a relationship with God.
Right.
That's like almost spiteful.
Which is why I think you're seeing this huge uptick, and the chat's probably going to crucify me for this, but that's why I think you're seeing such an uptick in people coming to the Catholic and Eastern Orthodox faith, because they're going to it because they want an institution that will look at them and go, these are all the answers. This is exactly how it works. You don't think, we think for you.
It's identity politics.
No,
Kinda.
the chat's not going to hate you for that.
I think a lot of people.
I've caught a lot of flack for saying that on a few other
What do you
shows.
mean? Why?
You're disparaging the Eastern Orthodox Church. It's like, no, I'm not. I'm telling you how I see it.
Well, they hate the Jews too, and that's big right now. I mean, that's a thing that definitely they're getting point. Like, I'm not taking either side on that topic. I'm
Right.
simply saying the fact that they're like hate the Jews, that's bringing a lot of people in too, man.
Z-Man says something that's actually pretty insightful. He says, is Christianity becoming the counterculture? And is it me?
Christianity's always been the counterculture.
Yeah,
but only
Christianity
true
is the
Christianity.
True
counterculture.
Christianity is different than Christianity that's counterculture. The Christianity that's counterculture, that's, you know, going to create like a Christian nationalism or some sort of debate bro or some sort of intellectualizing scripture, is really just a form of culture that you're adhering to. And culture is almost always just a product of the world. You know, outside of true Christian culture, anything else is just a product of the world. So you're adhering to this like scarecrow version,
Right.
this straw man version.
But there is this Christianity that's becoming not counterculture; it's becoming culture. And I really like how you're saying it. There's a resurgence, but it's just the sowing of the seed that's the resurgence.
And pause. At the same time, I do think there's real.
Israel?
Sure, one out of
happening.
4
Israel.
in that story is real.
Right, exactly. And so
Jacob?
those are the
Israel?
ones I'm just realizing I've got to give all of my attention to.
Yeah.
I've come to a point in this ministry where I'm like, I cannot be here to make old people happy or to make people who are culturally Christian happy. I have to give all of my time and my effort to the people who are out here trying to do the thing. And I'm just going to focus on them, and we're going to go make disciples who make disciples.
Amen.
Because I believe that's what everyone is called to do. I believe that is literally the function of humanity, is to be fruitful and multiply. That's the first thing God says to humanity. The thing is, that's recommissioned through Jesus at the Great Commission. It's be fruitful and multiply, but not by having kids.
So
It's by making disciples of every nation.
Amen. So as soon as you see somebody's just kind of playtime, you're like, hey, love you, but I'm moving on.
I'm here for you when you get real.
Yeah, same. That's my thing too. Top thinks I'm mean to some of the young people, but I'm like, dude, I'm just not going to play this game with you guys. Like, you're on fire for God because you went to church camp, and I told you straight up, like, history's littered with tons of people who were on fire for God for 6 weeks or 6 months after church camp, and then but it was never serious.
Right.
So I'm the same way. I'm like, come back and get me when you're serious.
So I actually restructured our entire youth program. We had a guy previously that was using like Orange. I don't know if you know what Orange is. They make curriculum for kids. It's all SJW, social justice junk. And it never, like, we didn't talk about the gospel in a year.
Wow.
It didn't come up
at youth.
at
What is
youth
it
group.
focusing on then?
And I straight up asked, I said, when's the last time we talked about the gospel? No answer at all. Okay. So I took it over to try and fix it to the best of my ability. I am not a youth guy. Let me be so clear.
Zach, so if it's not talking about the gospel in a year, what is the curriculum focusing on?
How
predominantly?
to be different around your, if you're
It's-
different, it's okay to be different, and don't judge other people for being different. It's like pseudo Christian. It's like the things Jesus teaches without the emphasis on salvation. I remember one teaching
Oh, it's
out
like
of
when
Orange.
you take love and you twist it and turn it into
Yeah,
something.
dude, and you throw in a pizza party and some dodgeball and some
Right.
kickball, and next thing you
Wow.
know, you get like a really cool group of kids,
Right.
especially in the South. You get this cool group of church kids. They're like, yeah, we're the church.
And don't get
youth.
me wrong, like, some fun is cool. Like, people bond over fun. I think that's good. Community's good.
Sure.
But when the fun becomes the focus, you're
Yeah.
missing it. So I shifted it to a Discovery Bible study model where all we do is we pull out the Bible, we all sit in a circle, and then we read it together. And then I ask 4 questions. I say, what did you like about it? The second one, I say, what didn't you like about this, or what was difficult about this? And for a lot of kids, that's the first time they've ever been allowed to answer that question about the Bible.
Right.
The third one is, what's this tell us about people? The fourth one is, what does this tell us about God or the Holy Spirit?
That crushes, dude.
And so that is how we study the Bible at youth group.
People love the Bible too. Like the more you get into it, the more people like what you're saying is like, oh, you want me to engage? I'm not just a spectator here to watch the show. There's going to be a back and forth. People love that.
What's really hard though is you've got the kind of the traditional church culture pushing back the whole time, going,
sure,
when are we having a youth camp? When are we doing this? When are we? And I'm going, I don't care. These kids don't know the Bible yet. They got to know the first things before they worry about the fun. And like,
the system's like, let's send them on a missions trip. It's like, no, they're not even saved themselves. Like, what do you mean send the kids on a mission
100%. And like, we at our church do a VBS, a Vacation Bible School, where the teens teach the kids. And I'm sitting here, and don't get me wrong, I understand the heart behind the model. And I think it's a good model for the kids that are serious about Jesus. But with our numbers, we got 20 kids in our youth group, maybe 35 on a busy night kind of thing. Some come in and out, right? And I'm sitting here going, I don't have probably 20 super, super committed Christians. I maybe have 10, you know what I'm saying? I maybe have 12, but then you got a few kids there that are like, they're learning too. And I don't think that's bad, but when you build a model where these kids become the teachers, it's like, that's a little scary. So luckily though, through those, we do just stick to a curriculum, and it's like, here, just read the page. The page is correct. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that helps them out. But I think I don't know. I don't want to give off the idea. I think you have to be an expert before you can start sharing the gospel. I don't believe that, but I think you do actually have to know and love Jesus before you can go and start sharing the gospel.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair. Yeah. I mean, I get it. What is it? It's to instill confidence in the kids. And I do understand this concept of, if you know a thing, there is more to know about it if you can teach it. You know, there's an additional layer there, but I mean, we're not talking about soccer.
Right.
You were talking about salvation and the creator of the universe. So a little bit different, but I could see how that would be.
And the other thing is, like, once again, like, I don't expect these kids to have all the answers, and I'm not picking on them. It's just like, it's what I'm trying to paint here is like, the system pushes back the whole idea of like, we need people involved. We need people doing all these things, or else it looks like we're not doing anything. And it's like, well, yeah, but like, maybe we should just not be doing anything, and we should just be reading the Bible right now, because we're trying to get everybody spiritually healthy. Say that again.
Appearances.
Right. Like, does it look good? Does it look healthy? And I'm like, no, is it healthy?
Right.
And I think that is the currency of where we're at as a church. Is the church healthy? Are people spiritually healthy? It doesn't matter if they've got it all figured out. Do they know and love Jesus, and are they moving in the right direction? That's like the first thing. And that has to be the first thing. And there's a lot of churches operating that have tons and tons of people who've been in it their whole lives, and they're not there. And we are not talking about my story anymore, because I have veered from the path, but you guys did this to me.
Yeah.
No.
That's my story though. I'm done.
No,
I'm good.
No, I mean, it all ties in, dude. Like, this is your story. I mean,
in a lot of ways. I will just give kudos to my buddy. I have to do this every time. But Mike Wiggin, he's a church planner. He gave me the language that I needed. I felt a lot of this. I didn't have the words to express what I felt until I met that brother in Christ, and he has really strengthened the way.
What do you mean,
I
the
think
language
about
for what?
For all these things I'm talking about right now.
Yeah.
Like,
And what do you mean by church planner?
So he actually, he has something called X2 Collective, and he sets up these things called simple communities, and they're basically house churches. But what's cool about them is, like, they don't have to be apart from you going to church on Sunday.
Sure.
It can be both. But my thought on this is, like, we've built a system that exists on this pastor as the head of the church. Me and Top were talking about this beforehand. If a pastor leaves a church, you lose 40% of your congregation instantly. That's going to happen. That's the average every time. Okay. But that's because we've built a model based on the pastor. If you build churches where the pastor is just there to equip the people of the church to be the ones that go out and make disciples, versus the model we're in, where we go out and we tell people to come to church so my pastor can make you a disciple. If you build it the opposing way, if the pastor leaves, nobody leaves, because it's equipped. You just bring in the next guy that's going to equip people. And so that's my view of who the pastor is. The pastor is an equipper. They are not.
That's the biblical view.
Exactly.
That's what they're there for.
So I think a lot of where we're at today is, once again, gonna get feedback on this, but like, I think a lot of what we do today is based on the church slowly drifted into what Rome became.
Sure.
And then the Protestant Reformation came out of that, but it did not shed all of what it learned from the Roman Catholic Church. And so much of our model today is not based on, like, the Reformation didn't get back to the basics. It got back to a lot of the basics plus some of what it had already turned into.
Right.
But when you go back to just the Bible, dude, I don't see a senior pastor anywhere other than Jesus.
Right. Yeah, that's profound what you're saying is that, and then to question anything, everybody at this stage of the journey is like, this is just how it's always been done. This is what we're going to keep doing. But I don't know. I feel like, yeah, everything's too real. We were talking before the show about how, look at how much the world changed since 2020. Like, just look at how much the news changed since 2020, or just look at anything. And it's like, the church didn't change at all, dude. The church is like, refused to move forward and look at this and say, maybe this is a little bit of a fake system. Like, maybe we could do this different. But I really like what you're saying, that like, yeah, I don't think that those should go away either. I think there should just be good preachers who actually spend 40 hours a week on their sermon and they just preach fire on Sunday morning. But that's not the be all end all of people's faith. That's just like this rad bonus you get on Sunday, but you've got a home church that just kind of pops in on Sundays.
Well, that's where all the growth happens, is in the small groups anyways. It doesn't happen on Sunday morning. And so what we preach about constantly is like, hey, what are you going to do the other 168 hours, 178 hours, whatever it is in the week? This is just 1 hour. It doesn't reset next week. Like, that's mass. You just described mass.
Yeah.
I'm going to go just live however I want. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to eat the body and the blood and I'm going to be good. It's like, no. Like, you're on all the time for Jesus. The other thing that we've been really big on preaching on is, well, not preaching on, is we don't talk about money at all. Maybe once a year, twice a year. And when we do, it's not, hey, this is a biblical, like tithing is biblical. It's more like, hey, you all have determined this is what church should look like for you. So for you to come here week after week, if this is what you want, it'd be kind of lame for you to not help us keep it moving.
Right.
And I'll always end it with,
Plumbing
hey, if you guys,
roof and such, like, this thing needs repairs and
exactly. And I'm always like, hey, look, if you guys decide you don't want to do it this way anymore and you just want to meet in the park once a week and then we just do house church, I'm cool with that too. But while this is what you've decided we're doing, it has to be paid for somehow. So please help us do that if this is what you want. If not, let's talk.
So let's say that system does deteriorate, and there's a bunch of reasons why that could be the case over the next few years, or, you know, certainly like a decade, if you wanted to be graceful with the time frame there. And maybe there's something to be said about like a generation, like, if, you know, and I'm not trying to dunk on the boomers. I'm just saying they're next in line.
That really messed you up, the lady that came in.
No, that was fine with that. But
that messed me up.
They're next in line, right?
We didn't catch any of that on audio, did we? That whole thing?
No.
That was a little bit jarring for them. You know, it is what it is.
They were highly disturbed.
I thought you were being very kind.
I was, but they were still disturbed. I mean, they saw skulls and they were like, I don't like this.
The story is, another old lady came to the shop and basically said, I don't particularly like what you're doing in your business.
Yes.
And then Matt explains it to her.
Many such cases.
She still didn't like it, but I at least explained it.
They do like to show up and tell you.
She didn't deserve the explanation.
Yes, she did, dude.
No.
Like, imagine you're from that generation and everybody has kissed your ass for your money for decades now, and their whole mindset.
And then
is
imagine it just stops all of a sudden.
Everything in culture revolves around me because I have money, and I'm not going to come here and support your place of business because I don't like what you have on the walls. It's like, no, that's cool, lady. But do you want to understand like why we have the skulls? Do you want to know about Nephilim?
Do you think she wanted to understand?
This is exactly my point. She did not want to understand, and I can tell that right away.
She wanted you to take the skulls down.
I don't care. It doesn't matter.
I do think we still plant the seed.
Yeah.
Because like, it may not be you. It may be, given she's working unlimited time, but it may be somebody else down the road that keeps watering that seed you've already planted. If she hears this 10 other times and starts to go, is there anything to that? And I only say that because I've seen people change.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I think at every generation, you're going to have resistance because every generation's wired different. And the gospel is contrary to all of them.
Yeah.
None of these generations are wired for the gospel. It's all kind of antithetical to human nature.
Well, they're at a big disadvantage. And what I said to her was like, she said, yeah, I don't like it. I said, well, I'm sure like at your church, you like when people are your same age, they have your same amount of money. And she was nodding. And I was like, they vote the same as you. And she was nodding. And I was like, the kingdom of God
all
is
the good
bigger
white
than that.
people. I like when they're all next to me. And she was very obvious with her.
Well, she was upset that we had this brown. I mean, she was happy he was in the corner. But they were upset that he's in here at all.
No, but I mean, I was just like, yeah. So like, this is stuff from the Bible, and it's okay to be around people that are different from you. Like the kingdom of God is vast, and we're diverse, and we're different. And she was just kind of, I mean, what? Yeah, to your point, it's like if maybe I was the first one to explain to her what a Nephilim was, but maybe
Matt,
somebody else is.
Don't you see the like how opposite this is? Matt says that I get upset with him when he's like, "Hey, you went to youth church, and now you're here. You think you're hot for God? Like, come back, bro." Like, dog, you've had 120 years so far, what it looks like on the earth. And this is what you're going to come.
Nice,
no, but I'm going to explain it to boomers and I'm going to explain it to youth. I'm going to explain it to both.
Okay.
But the youth, you got to be a little more stern with. But I don't want to cut Raven off because he was cooking. He had a whole thing.
The only question I was going to ask is, we might be looking at it sooner because when that generation goes, what's that model? I think it's going to be very impactful with their absence on that model.
Financially, for sure.
Financially, which is huge. I mean, it's the ability to have what we determine as like mega churches. And
that financial model's madness.
It is madness.
It's way too much money.
I'm not contesting that at all. But what I'm asking is what then takes its place? And I don't mean what should take its place. I mean, given the landscape right now and the way things are going, what do you anticipate will take its place?
Okay. So here's what I currently see. There's the big mega churches, right? They eat the mid-size and small churches because the mid-size and small churches are falling off because they don't have enough of a pool of money to keep up the system they're trying to perpetuate.
This is Walmart killing mom and pop shops.
Exactly. And as those fall
but
off,
that's just staggering. I mean, it's a business. Like it's exactly what it is.
Yeah,
it's exactly Walmart consuming the mom and pop.
But I think the solution is going to evolve out of this problem naturally because it has to.
Yeah.
So we'll get to that. But basically what I see is you've got these big giant churches eating the smaller churches. Like we said, they're closing faster than they're opening. So eventually that means so many years down the line, you're just going to have big churches because you're going to have really big churches and really, really small churches. Dude, that's going to be
imagine how easy that's going to get absorbed into that system, dude.
What, the small churches?
No, if it's all just big churches.
Hold on. So they've all got revolving front doors because people are always coming in, but they've always got revolving back doors because they only provide milk. So many of them. Right. I'm not saying all the mega churches. There may be some decent ones out there. I don't know. But so many of them, it's just the most basic, keep you in the seat, keep you entertained, keep you happy. But they're always losing people.
That's why it's always you when you're at church. You're like, why is this geared towards somebody who's been here for like a week? Like none of these sermons are ever geared towards the deep things.
Well, that's out of the church growth model, the seeker model.
Yeah.
See, because the whole deal is that model was put in place with the intention of equipping people to go out into their communities and make disciples, but it got eaten slowly by people tweaking it to make it attractive, to make bigger buildings, bigger churches, and it even evolved with all those great intentions.
So they just get the new people, get the new people, get the new people. And then as somebody matures, they're like, I'm out of here. I just keep hearing these same weak sermons, like day one sermons.
So but boxing and MMA classes have they'll have like their morning class or their like middle of the day class where that's like everybody. And then at night, then it's like black belt level or competition level.
I like what you're saying.
Yeah, is that a possible solution?
Maybe.
Why not? The building's
but it's not
there.
The current
it's getting
model.
Paid for. The lights are on. Like, why isn't it being used? Almost, I want to ask why
it should be 7 days a week,
right? Every day of the week.
Why kidding me? Like we always say, like no people with little kids should be paying for daycare in a church. If there's retired people who could be watching those kids, like what do you mean we're a family, but I'm going to go pay for daycare?
The other piece we've struggled with our building is we added up all church usage and we said, how often is the building actually being used? And I think we were actually using capacity at like 16% when you take all time and all use of the building. So what we've started doing is we brought in homeschooling organizations throughout the day. We have a daycare downstairs.
Somebody's growing a food for us.
And do you see Matt, this is my issue with where you're telling me, oh, let's take over this back room. It's that's exactly what I want to avoid.
What is he? He wants the back room bad.
No.
Because I don't even understand the context of
want
what
the
he's
back
saying
room
right
more
now.
than Top
Like,
wants
what's
the
the
back room.
context of what Top's saying?
The context is the modern day church is using their building 15% of the time.
Okay.
That's what we'd be using this back room.
we
Okay,
can
so
figure
don't
it
use
out.
the back room.
No, I want it.
Right, but then there's a lot of drawbacks to not using it.
So, but
He's
to
doing-
Top's
what's the
point,
back
though,
room
I
so
think there are
bad?
churches that are realizing that, and they're going, "Hey, we got to figure out what we are going to do." Because our whole thing, we've always said we want to be the best church for our community, and that's always been our focus. Is like, how can we be here for the community? So, like, yeah, do you have to rent space? Yeah, but it's way cheaper than anything else in the area because we're just trying to keep the lights on and give you a space kind of thing. But like, we try and use as much of it as we can. Now we opened a commissary out of our kitchen because the kitchen wasn't being used. So now food trucks use our kitchen. Like there's ways to do it, but like it's
You're
all
saying to
still
bring in
business
money?
talk.
You're saying that's like to bring in money?
It's
because
not even to bring in money. It keeps things afloat, but it's more like, how can we let people use our building? Because right now it's just sitting vacant for a
right.
week.
But I'm saying, like, how can it be used not just to keep some money coming in from food trucks, but like we should have stuff going on every day as far as the kingdom of God, man. We should be having
agreed.
classes, groups.
To that, you can do that. You will do that, and you'll start, and everybody will show up for the first 2 weeks, and then week 3, you got about half, and week 4, you got about a quarter of that,
Yeah.
and then week 5, you got the same 10 people showing up every time, and then the program dies.
But I think we're going to do it, and even if the program dies, we're just going to keep doing it, and we're just like I preach a lot of sermons to the wall,
right,
with no humans around.
Well,
but
so
all of a sudden one day I had an audience. You know what I mean? Like, and I feel like if you're gonna get and you're gonna do like a 501c3 style, like an A-frame building with a cross on it. If there's a thing you're gonna do, like what you're saying, you keep doing it. People don't come, you don't care. You do it for a year. Nobody's
I'm telling
even
you,
there.
man.
You keep doing it.
At the church we go to, there's something called lift groups that they do on Wednesdays.
Are they getting buff?
Yeah, they just lift and swole.
Hell yeah.
No, it's a great idea. It's instead of the traditional Bible study on Wednesday or the traditional sermon on Wednesday, they break up into classes. But what they've done instead is outsource their classes to like Rick Renner is teaching one. They're watching like pod pastors, and then somebody will come and give like a devotional about whatever that lesson was. And I was like, if I put Matt in here, nobody else would be going to the other classes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They would be going to the straight Bible course because
But
it's new, fresh, interesting.
Matt becomes a pastor though at that point.
What is he now?
Let's get him some roads.
That's fair, but what did we say the purpose of a pastor is? It's to train others to do the same.
Dude,
So-
we'll go into the Discord Bible study tomorrow night.
Exactly.
Dude. You're gonna see
Boom.
they're running a Bible study.
Exactly.
Trevor's
And they're
running
doing it themselves, and they're not putting Andy Stanley on the TV to watch him for an hour.
No.
But if I have
too real for that.
certain generations of folks put together a small group at the church, which is what we want them to do, they'll pop in a DVD and let a pastor talk to them for an hour. And it's like, when are you engaging with the Bible?
Yeah.
When are you opening it and
Yeah.
seeing what it says and coming to your own understanding? And there's a lot of people that just don't ever. Our care pastor, I'll say there is a huge number of folks, not just in our church, outside of our church, because he's got a ton of people he talks to. Like it's staggering how many people are not constantly plugged in. And I feel comfortable saying that because I'm not throwing names around, but like at the same time, it's like there's a lot of people in the church that never pray, that never read their Bible. And it's like, dude, you're not even connected. Why are you even here on Sunday?
Well, see, and that's where like this whole thing where the so-called pastor today is like all 5. He's apostle, prophet, pastor, evangelist, and
which
teacher.
is not how it's supposed to be.
Like you look at an OG like William Grimshaw in England, he went to everybody's house who was in his like parish, if you will, right? Like he went to everybody's house. He ate with them, he prayed with them, he read scripture with them, and he knew their life, right?
Right.
Tozier was not doing that. Like
No.
A.W. Tozier was not doing that with anybody.
So
But you go read his sermons, Tozier's crushing, right?
Right.
So I don't know. I think you got to get the guy who goes to people's houses.
That's right.
Then you got another guy. He's like, hey, I'm not going in everybody's house. I'm not going in the hospital every time somebody's sick. I know that's very offensive for a lot of people, but you got a guy who does have a heart for that. You got the guy who does go every time somebody's sick. You got a guy that does go to everybody's house.
Right.
And maybe you have multiple people doing that, and they're setting up this structure for home churches with 10 or 12 people.
Exactly.
And you have all those small churches, those small house churches. It's like, yo, we're just meeting up on Sunday. Or maybe
so coming out of like what I said, where I said I tried to quit, I've reframed what I'm doing right now.
I like that.
I said, okay, here's what I'm going to do from here on out. I'm going to preach the word because that's how I'm wired. I'm going to teach it. I'm going to go and I'm going to teach people how to set up simple community small groups that can serve as house churches or small groups, whatever. But my whole goal in that is if the church does collapse eventually, all these people know how to do church without a system. And that's my goal. I want them to be prepared either way.
I like that.
And so like you can keep coming. That's awesome. But if
you should
it's not
talk with
here one
Otis, dude. I think Otis would be like a very useful tool for you.
Come on,
I'd be
somebody.
interested. Yeah, come on.
No, that'd be a great. You guys would have a great episode, dude. Maybe we facilitate that. But yeah, that's a great point because you do almost get this feeling that like, I mean, this is exactly what you're saying is that current 501c3 structure, like it's gonna go away at some point, right? Yeah. And then what? Then what do people do? What if we do get to a place where you can't have Bibles in America? I don't know. I'm not,
well, and if people would set those up, what they would realize is they would each, like say you got 20 people meeting at your house, which is where I think you should probably cap it because you get beyond that, it gets crazy.
Sure.
But if you got 20 people, within that 20 people, 15, 20 people, whatever, you're going to realize you've got 3 or 4
real ones,
people that really step up and kind of lead in certain ways.
Yeah.
And you're going to notice that there are different giftings among all those people and let them lean into it and do what they're naturally programmed to do. The church is about delegation in so many ways. God wired each of us. It's a body. It takes every organ of the body. No one pastor is all the giftings. Like you just said, I'm not a pastor of care. That's why I really don't like the word pastor, because that means the guy that's out shepherding, taking care of people, going to their houses.
I know, but the offensive thing is it's more accurate to be a prophet in that role. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like Tozer was more of a prophetic, but that just carries so much baggage.
Well, and I don't use that one either because so many people
so much
butchered
baggage,
that
bro.
word. I use prophetic in the way of like, I hear the word of God through his word. And then I've kind of got this evangelical wiring where I can then turn around and teach it to you, speak it to you. That's
speaking
more
forth the mind of God. That's all it is.
Exactly.
But you're right. There's so much baggage if you say prophet today, but like the fiery preachers were prophetic preachers.
Right.
Like that's what they were. But the guy who went to the homes and went to the hospital, that was a pastor.
Right.
You know, evangelist. I mean, Philip the evangelist is kind of the only example we got, like the main example we got. He's doing wild stuff, bro. Like if we just go back to the Bible of what these offices are, and then I think a lot of the guys were teachers, no matter what office they had, they were also a teacher too. What is it? Apostle. And then like apostles, man. Yeah. They were just, they were like the backbone of the church, right?
They're the church planners.
Yeah. And they were different. They're totally different today than they would have been in the day of the book of Acts, right? Especially, you know, creating scripture, like creating the word of God and writing it and having it assembled and establishing the church. Just like Elijah was way different than Moses, but they were both prophets. Like there's apostles today, in my view, or there should be, but they're totally different from apostles at the beginning of the church.
Yeah, that has a different meaning to it. An apostle today is the kind of person that's they're your type A's. They're your CEO types. They're going out and they're like, let me establish a system, a structure, not a system, but you know what I'm saying? Like, let me help get this group
I don't know
together.
if I like all that language, but I see what you're saying.
Hear me out. Like, let me bolster this group of people to be prepared to do it. Like, but they're kind of your missionaries, if you will. Like because that's what the apostles did. They were going out and they were planting churches in the places they went, and they were teaching other people how to do it. So they're equippers as well.
Sure.
But they're kind of these types that go out and go, let me help you do this. Whereas a guy like me, I don't feel called to go out to some other nation or something, but I'm like, okay, how can I, with this group of people here, teach them? I'm not your pastoral care guy. I'm your teacher guy. That's what I'm.
Amen. I like that.
So
it's good to know what you rock, you know?
It's taken a while to get there.
But I like what you're saying about if you tell the people like, hey, if you want to be here, pay the dollars. If you don't want to be here, that's cool. We don't need the dollars because you guys won't be here. We don't have to like facilitate any of this. We don't need all the dollars. But if you're going to be here, I was reading this. I'm going to get into this in the next study too. In 1 Timothy 5:17 and 18, he says, let the elders, same word as pastor or whatever, that rule well, be counted worthy of double honor. That's in the King James, but in like a modern translation, it says like be paid for what they're doing. Especially they who labor in the word and doctrine. This is big to me, dude. It's like, is the guy laboring in the word? Because like, if I'm coming in here and falling asleep on Sunday morning, like how much did you labor in this? Like, I know what I used to do when I was a flooring installer. And like I was working out of town and working nights and working like 15 hours straight with no break to like get like, surely the man of God who's talking about things pertaining to eternity and heaven and hell and men's souls hang in the balance. Certainly he's working as hard as a flooring installer, right? But it's like those guys should be paid because it's like, hey, this is my blood, sweat, and tears, like bringing forth this. But the dollars is bigger than dollars for you. It's your blood, sweat, and tears and time. And it's just this exchange. But look what he compares it to. For the scripture says, you shall not muzzle the ox that treads out the corn, and the laborer is worthy of his reward. So like a pastor is like not just a servant, not just a steward of the mysteries of God, not just a laborer, but he's compared to an ox in the field.
Right.
Like he's lower than a human laborer. He's
Right.
an ox. So where you see a dude grinding like an ox, okay, that's fair to give him dollars for whatever they need the dollars for. Certainly they in this day, they weren't talking about like, give me dollars so I can buy land and build buildings and get a loan and set up this whole governmental structure for tax shelter reasons. But they needed money to like do stuff.
Right.
So I like that if it's like, if you tell people like, hey, if you want to keep doing this, you know, bring some dollars so that we can keep this thing going. And if not, that's fine too.
And I guess I'm in a place where like I've really struggled with, they want me there full time, like they do. And I'm just not going to do it because of the system, because we're in a system where it's like, I don't trust where the system is going.
Yeah.
I'm not going to build my livelihood on this system. And then it collapses.
Mm.
I'm going to go work in a barbershop and I'm going to preach. And I literally tried to tell you to stop paying me. You're not going to, whatever. But like at some point, I am going to have to fall off and just be a volunteer position, because it's like, that's now the podcast's moving in this direction. I see fruit
Sure.
here. I see reason to be in this
Yes.
sphere. But it's like, I don't want to put all my eggs in the basket of the system, because the system's broken. I have no problem giving myself fully to the word of God. And honestly, dude, there's a weird thing about like, they say if like you're doing something you love, you never work a day in your life. That's real. Like I'm constantly taking in Bible information. I'm constantly reading. I'm constantly listening, but it doesn't feel like work. So when I finally sit down to write a sermon, I have all this up here that I've been gathering all this time. And I sit down and I go, God, can you lead this? Because if they're my words, they don't matter. And for a long time, dude, I talked on that stage.
Mm-hmm.
These days, God talks on that stage, because I let his word speak and I give what I can to kind of cohesively put things together, but it's the word. The word has to do all the heavy lifting. And so I only say that because I agree with what you're saying, but I think there's a lot of pastors that take it so seriously that it becomes them speaking on the stage. And that
Well,
doesn't preach, bro.
Yeah, it's both, dude. Jesus explains it like this. He said, then said he unto them, therefore every scribe which is instructed into the modern American 501c3 system that was trained in a cemetery school. No. He said, therefore every scribe which is instructed into the kingdom of heaven is like unto a man that is a householder, like the head of the house, which brings forth out of his treasure things new and things old.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the picture of the ox, dude.
Yeah.
And like what you're talking about is you're grinding in the word. Sometimes
People
but
stuff's the work,
but
bro.
you're kind of going like that, right? But you're going and getting old and new treasure, and then you are bringing it forth and just hoping that it's like that it's God's words.
So do we want to talk Bible?
No, I mean we're just rolling now. This is definitely not the episode of
That's fair.
Sermon on the Mount.
That's
episode.
fair.
Right, that's what I was.
We'll
I
just shut
switched
that
it.
bad boy.
I switched it to the interview series, but I think we should. It would be cool to get into the evil eye stuff that you were talking about, and that's biblical.
Well, no. I want Zach to keep rolling with his story, and like
Okay.
I think what he's talking about is so relevant, dude. Like he's got a good, like you can tell he's not like and I don't think I am either, but I know I come off like that, like that. I just want to burn down the 501c3 system.
Once again did use the expression white hot hatred.
I do have a white hot hatred for that system.
I'll say very really, I have said outright, there's a couple churches in my hometown that if they close down tomorrow, the gospel would benefit for it.
Sure.
But
Sure.
That's a crazy
Amen.
position to be in.
There's thousands of those across America.
You're supposed to be a facilitator of the word, and instead you're doing such a detriment that maybe it would be better that you don't exist within the
but I
conversation.
mean, study the scripture.
Well,
like, show me a time period where the covenant people are on track.
I'll give you a story. I worked at a barbershop where my boss, rowdy boy, wild guy, really nice guy, I like him a lot, did not know the Lord. And I would just kind of openly talk to customers about the gospel.
Sure.
And I actually worked at a Muslim barbershop for a while.
No way.
Oh, that's crazy.
And it was all Muslim run. And I remember one day the owner walked up to me and said, hey, maybe we don't talk about the church stuff. And I went, oh, okay. And then I just continued to talk about the church stuff, and he never said anything again. And so I just have always taken that. I'm like, I've got you in my chair for 30 minutes. I might as well
what
talk
else
to
are we
you
going
about
to talk
life.
about?
And
30-minute haircut. That's it.
well, sometimes more. You got to do like 40 minutes on some cuts, 45 on some cuts, but 30 actually, like industry standards, like 20, 25 minutes in a lot of
What?
ways.
No, dude. The Puerto Ricans I go to is
Dude,
an
they
Yeah,
keep
I
hour,
don't
me in
do
the
that.
chair for so long.
The
trying to
last
stay
time I did that, okay, I got my license picture taken the same day. Got lined up by a Puerto Rican dude, nice pencil thin
Yeah,
stash,
Let's go.
got me all
You
cleaned
do it
up.
right, bro.
I go and get my license picture taken. I got pulled over like 6 months later. It's dark. Cop can't see me. He brings me back my warning, and it says Hispanic underneath of my
Nice,
like,
yeah.
national.
Yeah, I always say that to
Very
my guy Tony
funny.
after I get the cut and he shows me. I'm like, very Puerto Rican, man.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, you're one of us. But
I like
you
when
know,
they give me a fade and they're there for like 15 minutes in the
Yes.
same spot.
yes,
And I'm just going, dude,
and
my
maybe
head
they're
is
kind of
raw.
bobbing. They're
Yeah,
listening
yeah,
to
yeah.
music. Creepy thing though about the Puerto Rican barbershop. Last time I was in there, I think they act a little different sometimes when I come in, and I think they put on like worship music when I
Is
sat.
that true?
Yeah, when I sat down, not always, but I
This
was
is
like,
how I feel walking.
but like all
into a
so
lot of
everything that they have on at the barbershops in Spanish, I hear that the instruments. It doesn't matter that it's in Spanish. Instantly, it's the same thing as so-called worship music in America.
Oh,
It doesn't
oh.
matter what language.
That's
It's
a
got
whole
that
talk.
exact the worship music industry because there's a worship music
Oh yeah,
industry.
it's a formula.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
exactly the same, even in Spanish, dude. It's this other kind of music that just right when you hear it, it just sounds fake.
It's pop.
And it's the same thing, and then it's like Spanish words. I'm like, I know this is so-called worship music. Like,
Yeah,
I,
yeah,
like I
yeah.
already know it.
The
That's it.
greatest worship song ever is "Oh Holy Night."
Dude, what? The Christmas song?
Dude, go listen to like the theology of that song.
Yeah,
It's an absolute banger.
Yeah.
Like I love
Who
when
wrote
Christmas
it?
rolls around. I have no idea.
dude, the old hymns, bang, dude. There we've got in the
Fantastic.
H section right here. We've got just old hymns, dude. Because like if pastors, like, dude, when pastors pass away locally, nobody takes their books, dude. So they'll call me and say, "Hey, our pastor passed away. Do you want the books?" I'm like, "Yeah, dude." They're bringing me boxes of Spurgeon,
Yeah, I was gonna say
Tozer,
you got really good
like
stuff
other
here.
stuff, dude. And no, I'm like, nobody in the church wanted this. Like, oh no, we don't have any other pastors. Like he was the pastor.
Oh shit, look at this.
Like none of the common people.
What is it? Are you looking at the lyrics?
Yeah,
But
so
the hymns go hard, dude.
Oh Holy Night was originally banned by the French Catholic Church because the leaders learned that the lyricist Placide Cappeau was he had anti-clerical views, and the composer Adolphe Adam was of Jewish heritage. Oh dang!
A Jewish guy named Adolf?
Yeah, he wrote the music, and another guy, Placide, wrote the lyrics, but he had anti-clerical views.
Yeah, I'm kind of
What do you mean
perusing the
anti-clerical? Like that's always
He was
the
against
thing.
the so-called modern 501c3.
Well, no, it's just like when somebody says, the church
The
believed
rebel.
this for all these years. It's like, okay, well, those are the years that like the Vatican was the church. So they're like, nobody believed this until this year. It's like, okay, so
Oh,
who
this
was
is
the people that
horrific,
did believe
dude.
it?
The guy that wrote, so it
Are
was
you
a
gonna
poem.
kill this for me?
No, I mean, it was
Maybe.
it was a
That's fine.
poem in 1843. After he got kicked out, like he left the church, he joins the socialist movement because
Ah.
it seems like the church pushed him out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's
Wait,
that's
wait,
how
wait,
things
wait, wait.
typically
That doesn't
go.
mean the guy's bad. Is that what you're saying?
No,
Well-
it's
No, I
just not.
You
What's
join
that mean?
you join a socialist movement. It's that
Yeah,
socialism
hindsight
is
is 2020 though, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like now we know if you're pushing back against what is clearly a corrupt Vatican.
What year was it and who kicked him out? Because like if you're talking like 1700s or 1800 or like whatever year and it's the Vatican,
Yeah,
like
when
we would
was
all
Oh
be
Holy
heretics
Night
as
written?
well.
Right.
No, I'm just saying, like, to push him out of the church system and him to join the Socialist Party. The Socialist Party is like
Yeah.
anti-God because you lose your individuality.
That
It's
is
church
true.
hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in all fairness, dude, there's some excellent songs written by people who are no longer part of the faith because
Yeah.
they just I
Fall
see
off.
church hurt a lot, man. Church
Yeah.
hurt messes people up. Thrice, dude, Dustin Kinsey from Thrice had some absolutely fantastic songs about just faith and God. And now that dude is like
How come there's
Kinda
never
Christ
any like
consciousness stuff.
gym hurt or like job hurt? How come there's only like church hurt? Like there's nobody who doesn't go back to the gym because
Well,
they got their feelings
I
hurt
think
at
it's
the gym?
because the church is the people of God.
Mhm.
Right? Like the church isn't a place, it's a people. And I think we're really terrible about explaining that. Like it's the word ecclesia literally means the gathering or the assembly, which means it's actually the council of God, Like when we talk about the council of God in the heavens, the church is that on earth,
I like that.
right? That's us.
Yeah.
Okay. We're the assembly of God. And so I think you then have those people hurt you. And it's like, if these people just hurt me, what hope is there for anything else?
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Also, that Satan is
you don't want to be
in
hurt
your
by
ear
them.
telling you not to use the squat rack at this gym anymore. You know what I mean? Like, nobody's getting gym hurt because there's not a spiritual principality that's trying to pull you away from the Lord in the gym.
What about at your job?
Your job is a little bit different. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I never hear somebody
people
say,
do, you know, you go
yeah,
like, I'm
quit
not going back
to
into
my
that
job
industry.
because I got job hurt.
But I think part of that though comes from people just not having a great view of themselves and God, because the more you see yourself for who you are and you see God for who he is, you realize how much of a piece of crap you are. And so then you're less shocked by it when people do hurt you, because you're like, I think you kind of do this thing where you make idols out of people accidentally, where you're like, oh, this guy would never, this person would never do X, Y, or Z.
Yeah.
I would, because I'm a terrible person, but not him.
Well,
and
that
then
happens
he
in politics
falls.
constantly.
I heard of that too, where people fall off because like their mentor, they found out he was on coke or something. I heard that. And I remember thinking like, this is so silly. Like,
or
go
their
after
family
God.
member, right? You have a dad that's like really, really strictly religious, and he imposes all these things, and he's also not a great father, and so therefore the church is bad because he did a bad job.
Can you share some church hurt stories
Of others, or like,
dude, if you have any, that'd be great.
Dude,
yeah.
like last
because I don't
year,
think we have any. Do you have church hurt stories?
Yeah, that's
no, you don't.
You don't
dude.
listen to me.
He doesn't listen to you.
Do you have church hurt stories?
No, I never really went to the church.
He just always seems a little weird.
He's currently being hurt right now.
I am being hurt.
Turn to your neighbor and say church hurt.
It's really specifically by one man in the church.
Do you want to take a moment and shake hands for a solid minute? Or
solid minute,
Okay,
60
cool.
seconds on the clock. Go outside.
We used to call it the grin and grip.
Seconds too long.
Grin and
the
grip.
old grin and grip.
The old grin and grip is a terrifying expression.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
The old grin and grip.
But like, I mean, I have to be careful what details I get into, but I basically had a situation last year at the church where we had somebody tried to take control
of the church.
Female?
Yeah, I mean, I have
White?
to be really careful.
Was it a female?
Was it a white female?
No, it was not.
Do you have armpit hair?
But this was an elected position. It can't. I don't look. It got really hairy on the like church politics side of things, and I eventually stood in the gap, and I basically said, "Hey, look, you're only here on a technicality at this point, and I'm going to upend every council session we have forever until you're gone. You're not going to get anything done here." And everybody got mad at me, and it was like this whole like you were too rude, you should not have done that. That was not cool. And it's like, who would have? This would all still be happening. And so like I had people calling for my job. I really did not feel stood up for, even though I did have a lot of good people standing up for me. But like at the same time, it was like it was gross. It was awful. I hated that we got there. It really bummed me out that we even could get there. And for the last year, I have been incredibly jaded. Up until about 6 weeks ago, 3-4 weeks ago, maybe, I have not fully recovered from a lot of that. And I'm in a lot better place right now. But dude, I've been a shell for a hot minute.
I guess I get it then. If you're in that type of role where you've got skin in the game,
It's bureaucracy.
It's just like whenever I'm in that system, I'm just like, this is stupid. I'm out of here.
Agreed.
So there's not, but if you're like in a role there,
And
then I
that's
could
just
see
it.
where you're like, and I have to be here, and they're like doing this stuff that's shady.
And that's why I won't become a member. It's because
you won't be covered in member.
No, because I know that like that's a step too far into the business.
Well,
side
I
of
don't
it.
see any reason why you should become a member. You're a member of the body of Christ. And I don't remember Jesus saying, go forth and build kingdoms. He said, build the kingdom.
Right.
We build tiny little castles with our tiny little kings that we put up. And I'm like, where is any of this biblically? You're a member. I don't think membership matters. We really don't technically have a membership at our church. We have covenant members where it's basically like, hey, will you commit to this body of believers? But it's also like, if you separate, that's cool. Like, we get it. But it's like, if you're going to be here, are you going to be like plugged in with us, like doing this thing? That's really all we ask. But it's not, I don't really push it. My thing is like, if you're here, that tells me you believe in the same God as I do, and we should be working together.
Just as a personal note, for me, it's like, it seems very difficult as a 36-year-old dude to be like, do you want to be plugged into, for my church specifically, with a body of people that are like 80 and over?
Is that what this is about?
Well, that's a little bit weird. And I mean, just like, you know,
That's what this is about.
well, you're pretty old, and I find it difficult to engage with you occasionally.
I think it's called ageism, Matt.
Could be
Ageism.
ageism.
He is ageism.
But to all of a sudden jump up to like 70 and 80, so I'm going to sit in a council meeting,
Learn stuff from another generation.
Ah,
What was that?
I know.
Okay, so you're saying whenever we like buy our own building, we don't take up a donation, but we buy our own building and we do church on Friday nights. We're like, I'll preach, and then when I'm done preach, we do any announcements. It'll just be like 6:30 p.m. on Friday. Boom, there goes the sermon, and then as soon as I'm done, Top does the music, and people can like worship until like Top's done doing music or until they're done worshiping.
Whatever.
That's
Top
actually
wants
a
to play
great
music.
You're
idea.
saying you would be down for that as long as there's not 80-year-olds? Or
No, it's not that it's not 80-year-olds. It just can't be 90% 80-year-olds.
No,
Okay,
I don't
okay, I see
mean
what you're saying.
I don't mean about like your own church. I
That's
think
crazy.
like flipping the program on its head.
Oh, music at
Music-
the end?
The
At the
music
end.
should be at the end. And then,
Yeah, it
dude,
makes
if people
sense.
want to, if it's
Well,
Friday
podcasts.
night and people want to worship till 1 a.m, they should. That
If they
should
want to stick around and watch a podcast. I don't know that we're going to talk. Well, I was actually thinking about this, and I don't want to derail this even further. But
Big brain
here I
thoughts
go.
right now. Here we go.
Is this idea of because I was struggling last night to think about the venue thing. You know, Top and I
Yeah,
are-
you were hot. You guys are hot
Well,
last night.
Top
You guys
and I
are ready
were-
for February, boy.
We're
Book
discussing
the flights. Book the flights,
Oh,
everybody.
No, don't
do
tell
that.
people to do that. Top and I are discussing what the next Bohemian Grove is going to look like,
in
and
6 months.
and of course, there's always a potential issue with the venue given the content.
Yes.
And Top is very confident in our next choice of venue, but he actually spoke to like a couple of people that work there, where I only spoke to one, and I'm not so confident in that individual.
if that's a place that they will let us do it at, we can talk to some higher ups and make sure everything's
Okay,
cool.
so we have to figure that out. But I was thinking to get some sort of a plot of land and then do like a you know how they just do the pop-up
Like a pole
warehouse
barn?
style. What would it
A
be?
pole barn.
Yeah, basically just that. And then we've done a lot with a little. We could make that a functioning. We have access to a stage. We can build out the whole thing when we need to. If that would be an investment that's worth exploring in the future. And then to have that physical building and
You
to
could
do
rent it
something
out.
there that is, you know, I don't know if you call it church. I don't know what it is.
Tops.
Well, I don't think we would ever have like a
No.
church that had
That's it.
enough people to have like the daycare by the retired people.
So
Okay,
here-
but
here's
But the
When you say
current
retarded
ones
people,
around here
These
do
guys
have
don't know what
that.
they're talking about. The reality of the situation here is that
I don't know what I'm talking about.
it was 80% preparation and wires and plugs and shit like that and decoration and 20% preparation for content.
Yeah.
That's not satisfactory. The
No, for
people
sure.
deserve a higher level of content. So the more we can offload, look, very dark over here. The more we could offload onto the venue that we're going to be performing at, the more the people will benefit.
No,
and the
I
better
agree
the-
with the venue you're
So
talking about.
it's like we're in this struggle. I
You didn't
agree
seem
with
like
you.
you did in the chat.
well, no, I just don't know if the guy. I just don't want to get kicked out.
I don't care about getting kicked out.
Well, it would suck. Especially if they were like, yo, you can't come back the next day. Because the next day we want to do.
And the one you were talking about is like no holds bar. You know that it's no holds bar. Like you
The
can do
place
anything
we
you want in
just
that
the place we just did and got kicked out of.
The place that
No,
we
no,
just
no.
did.
The one that you were talking about last night. That you were
Oh,
texting
no.
about.
It's a very similar issue.
Oh, that one could be.
I know
kicked
they
out
have.
too?
What I do know about that place is they have comedians.
Okay.
So that helps a little bit. But yeah, there's always that. Like,
Well,
what
yeah.
if we don't get invited back for our second night? Which is, you know, I don't even know how we would.
No. We could work that out at that place if they'll let you. The thing is, before we tried to do it at another place, and they said no, we don't allow that because you don't live here.
Sure.
If this place says, yeah, we don't care if you live here or not, we'll do it. We can talk to some people. and
All
make
right.
sure
Well,
it works.
there's definitely that. But I think in the future it could be cool. I mean, what do you think about that idea, Top, of like getting a plot? I always see we pass by on the way to church. There's this like pop-up warehouse that's just constantly for rent. And I'm like, I wonder what it entails to like get the plot and put that kind of a structure
Yeah,
on it.
hundreds of thousands of dollars.
That's all, right? Like it's only
About
hundreds of thousands.
hundreds, maybe under 200.
But then
you
we
got to
have
save
this
that
thing.
money and do it.
Yeah. But
You
then we
just
have
beg
this
the people
thing.
for money to do it. You
You
got to
could.
like.
There's plenty of organizations that do that every week.
No, I know, but that's not my thing, dude. I'm like,
It's
that
like,
just seems
are we
crazy.
becoming a church?
I think this is the third time I've said it today that NDS is just a church, but
Well,
yeah,
I
it's
mean,
not.
I don't know
Yeah,
what
but I mean, it just feels weird to be like, hey,
in the modern sense.
we're here to equip you. We're stewards of the mysteries of God, but we need your money every week, dude. Like, if you don't give us your money, then we can't pay these mortgages and these debts that we have. It's like that just seems a little not right, dude. Like
I
in
agree.
light of the Bible, I'm all about like having a church, but it should be a building that I paid for.
Patreon.com
I don't preach on
/straight
tithing,
Bible.
I preach
There you
on
go.
generosity. We are called to be generous, but that
Sure.
also means like that doesn't mean you have to give it to your church. Go give it to a mission you believe
Well,
in.
it's
Go
just
give it
sooner
to
or
a person
later,
that needs it.
people realize like, oh, we're here to give money. Like sooner or later, everybody realizes that. They don't necessarily like to say it out loud, but they're like, okay, like we do the show on Sunday to take up the offering.
I
We
think
take
I've
up
given
the
$4
offering
to my church.
so we can do the show on Sunday.
Yeah, but
we go
that-
to the show on Sunday so we can take an offering.
So what if you flipped it? What if this model flipped where the emphasis wasn't all on Sunday morning? What if 90% of the emphasis of every church became what happens in your home in a small group gathering?
Imagine that.
And then you guys can totally show up on Sunday. And if you want to give to help make this thing work, whatever. But at some point, you're going to realize that the house stuff is way more important than the Sunday morning stuff. And you may actually rethink how Sunday morning looks.
Do you know, because I feel like you might know some of these stats, like what percentage of pastors' kids go off the rails?
A lot.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Okay, so like,
A lot.
why would we imagine if a man can't do it in his own home that we're just going to put him in charge of the church?
There's more to that. And I hear this all the time. One of the big issues with why pastors' kids go off the rails is because they see what the church system does to their dad, and they lose faith in the institution and in the people in the institution. It's not their dad they lose faith in. And so like what happens is they don't want to go to the church because they've seen what it did to their parents.
Okay, but nevertheless, those men, their children go off the rails, and instead of them, taking care of those 2 or 3 children in their own home, they're supposedly just leapfrogging and taking care of 200 or 300.
But that's my whole point, though, is like it's not their inability to take care of their kids; it's the system chewed up their family and spit it out.
Sure.
I don't think that falls on that person as a parent. Like, and I think it does.
Definitely
sometimes.
does according to Scripture, because they're not supposed to be ruling over the church if they haven't
But
done
they're
it. In their
also
own
not
household.
supposed to be in a system that looks like what we're currently in.
Facts.
That isn't present in the equation biblically.
So many of these things come back to that.
Right.
But I think to your point, you're not going to have these successful home churches in
Correct.
a church where the pastor doesn't have a home church in his own home.
Not if he is the head of the church. If you stop building models where the pastor is the guy and everything is about him, if you realize it's all about Jesus and he's just somebody there to tell you about Jesus so you can then go tell people about Jesus, it's just about equipping, then the pastor actually just kind of becomes part of the body.
Right. I'm just saying under this current infrastructure, that can't
Agreed.
happen because a pastor cannot produce something he's not. I don't care if he teaches good, preaches good. If he doesn't have his household set, he's not going to produce so-called members or whatever of his church that have their household set.
Correct.
So like, that's what we got to start with. That's my point, is like, we got to start with like people doing this, and maybe there's going to be a gap for a couple decades where like people are raising up their household right. They're raising up the kids right. The kids like.
But I'm saying I think they can do that. And even if they do that in the face of this system, I think it may not matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, because if the system is so oppressive to the kids on the way they see it treat their dad, it doesn't matter how good he's trained them up.
Well, and they feel like the dad has to choose this giant group of people over us. You hear that from
100%. That happens all the time. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I think those are all issues, but I'm saying I don't know that this system gets fixed by a bunch of pastors stepping up and changing. I think this system gets fixed by normal people who love and know Jesus stepping out into the world. For instance, the Great Commission says, it says, go and make disciples. We've talked about this on here. That go is not like go over here, go over there, go to China, go to India. It's as you're going. That's the Greek.
Mhm.
It's where you're at.
Sure.
Wherever you're at, make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and then teaching them to obey all that I've commanded you, which includes going and making disciples of all nations.
Amen,
But
yeah.
it's a circular commandment. It's self-replicating. And so like, because people try to play that, well, he said that to the apostles. And it's like, no. He said that to the apostles. And then that then got replicated into every disciple
So
made.
what about that within the context of like we're taking a flight to India to go and make disciples of the people that live over there?
You're saying like for mission?
Yeah.
I mean, that you see that language biblically of like some people do get sent out to the nations, right? I do think there are people who are called to it. Like I got a friend, Andrea, who she's a missionary in Nicaragua, and she spent 8 years trying to determine if that was actually where she was supposed to be, because she's like, I need to know that this is God.
While she was
me.
already there, or
nope, she was here.
Okay.
She visited a few times, and every time it's like she just felt called. She's like, I'm supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be helping these people. And she eventually did. But I'm saying this wasn't like, I also know kids who go out and fundraise tens of thousands of dollars from their church to go on a glorified vacation and sit on a beach and say they talked to some kids about Jesus, when really they just wanted to go somewhere and see another country.
Someplace
I think you're
exotic.
right, though. There's some people that are absolutely called to those other nations, but it just sucks because when we live in America, we're like, dude, we could use some missionaries here, man. We could really use some people from other countries coming here and preaching a real gospel.
Yep.
We could really use like,
Yeah, Philly's got Skid Row.
yeah, we really could use some of our people like here from the States preaching here. Like, but it's way harder, man. Like
I've got friends of friends who have been to like India, China, all these places you can't be, underground churches, whatnot.
yeah,
And they're building house churches. And I'm talking like planting 1,500, 2,000 house churches while they're there, like big stuff,
Yeah.
really big kingdom wins. And then they come back here and they just fall back into the system.
ugh,
Dude, this system, it's a magnet. It sucks people in.
yeah.
I don't know what it is about it, but it's like
It's
the
religious
comfort.
spirits. I
Well,
think.
I
dude.
think it's our
You go under,
culture.
you go
Like,
under those, but I'm saying it's spirit realm stuff. You go under the authority of those religious spirits, it's just going to suck the life out of you, man.
but I don't think it's just religious spirits. I think these people know how to do the thing, but then they come back to America where it's really cozy, it's really comfy, and it's like comfort doesn't breed growth.
Well, you hear that from missionaries that are on the field.
Right.
You say, what's your biggest thing that you're fighting against? And they say, other American missionaries coming here and paying our people to take positions now.
Yep.
Like we've trained up a true church here. Other missionaries show up from America and start paying them. They build a building, they do all this stuff, and they just turn into American church in another country. They're like, that's the biggest thing we're fighting against.
Right.
It's like, that's staggering, man.
This is probably a good time for me to say I don't hate the church. I love the church. I hate all the junk we've added on top of it. That's not the church.
I don't think you have to say that. We're just having a rational conversation in light of the word of God.
I do for any believer that, how do I say this? I said this top the other day. I want to lose people on the meat and potatoes of a subject. I don't want to lose somebody on something frivolous and stupid. And so I try to be careful when I talk about stuff like this, because I need you to follow me all the way to the actual point. Because if I'm going to lose you, I want it to be over that, not over you coming to a calculation of what you think I meant. You know what I'm saying? So I have to like reiterate.
Should I care about that? I don't care about that. Is that something if I was
I
like
think both
smarter?
are good. It's just different applications, different styles.
You're actively working against the system. He still finds value in it, which
I'm
I
not
do as
actively
well.
fighting against
I don't
it.
even find value in it. I love the people in it.
Okay.
And when I was ordained, I'll never forget my buddy Bob looked at me and he said, the day you stop loving these people is the day you should quit. And I realized I was ordained to a mission for the people of God, not for a system. And these people are under my care, even though they're in that system.
Amen.
And so I'm like, I got to help them how I can. And there may come a time where I'm like, hey, I've helped everyone I can here. And anybody left at this point, I just got to wipe the dust from my feet, but I'm not there yet.
Amen. That's
so
a
that's
great
why
view,
I'm
bro.
still in it.
That's
Yeah.
interesting. We were at church, it was a couple of weeks ago, and there was
You
a
were?
missionary there that was talking about being in India and how he's been there. How many years was it, Top? It was like 10 years, 9 or 10 years.
Yeah.
And he's not a single member Indian civilian that they've interacted with. The children that are poor and homeless, none of them have given themselves over to Christ exclusively. They're still trying to serve, a multitude of gods because their pantheon is never ending. So why not toss Jesus into the mix? Because
Yeah, they have like little icons of Jesus, like
among Vishnu and Krishna and Shiva
You know
and
those little
whatnot.
ones, the little Jesus statues.
rubber
yeah.
ones.
little duck
Yeah.
face
Yeah.
ones.
I saw a Ganesh one the other day on a. On
Oh, the
somebody's-
elephant, right?
Yeah, the elephant.
White women love getting that tattooed on them. So that's an interesting thing, though, because that guy hasn't felt the. Oh, I'm sure he struggled with the compulsion to dust his feet off and leave, but for 10 years he's been there and can't claim a single victory having won over somebody for the
Guy
kingdom.
said that.
Yeah,
Freaking love that.
that was
guy.
heavy,
He
dude.
cried
He
up
said he's
there.
been there 10 years and can't claim one.
Not
Dude,
one, dude.
Let's
that's a
put that
guy.
in
That was a real ass
perspective,
dude.
man.
God, man.
Real ass dude.
The God of the universe became a human being, and he put together a group of disciples. He's got the 12. Within that 12, he's got the 3 that are very close with him. And then outside of that, he's got the 72. And then you got like the masses following, right? When he says, you have to eat my flesh and drink my blood,
yeah.
and you
He's
cannot
down
be
to
my disciple.
12.
Everybody but the 12 leaves.
Yeah.
Everybody. And so my point is, that's God. He had 12 real ones.
Yeah.
Like, we're finite men. Like, we may be a drop in the bucket, but it's like, if you save one,
Yeah.
like, is it not worth it?
Yeah,
like,
it's worth
That's
it.
actually pretty gangster as far as like a ratio that compares to God. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
God goes down to 12. If you can get one, that's not that bad.
right.
That's
right,
actually
right.
pretty good in comparison.
But
That's
it's the
Which is
exact
why-
opposite of church growth.
Right. And that's actually why I don't think you can, like, I do not think any person on earth is going to be capable of discipling 12 people at one time,
Same.
because that's all God chose to do.
right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
No,
can you,
they're
can
gonna
you
they're
have
gonna
5 at a
disciple
time?
500. Like that. Like that's the staggering thing to me is I'm like, yeah, Jesus had 12. You've got 1,000 members of
Right.
your church.
Yeah, but that's
Wow.
not discipleship. Discipleship
Precisely.
is relational, right? Like, it's iron sharpening iron. If I can't sit down with you and talk with you, and like, I think you can do it online to some degree. Like, you can have relationships with people online, but even that's hard. Like, you really need people like in person that you know that you're working on. That's super crucial. Because this whole thing of like, I'm discipling 500 people in my congregation, it's like, okay, cool. What's that guy going through?
So do
right
you
now?
think that's the model then is going to be like people that have a platform like this where you can preach and people can get it from like all around the country, but then advising them on like how to set up their 10-person Bible study in their town in Kansas and their town in California and their town in Missouri and their town in Pennsylvania?
I think so. And can I throw something out there? I know I proposed this last night in just a silly way, and I think you guys brush it off, which is really cool because I'm
They
going to
do that to
steal
me
the
all the
idea
time,
if you
dude.
don't take it. But that whole conspiracy camp idea, I'm like, I might do that.
Do it.
And here's my thought.
What was the context for that? Like,
Well, you were talking about what's Bro Grove look like next year. I said, why don't
Sure.
you just do church camp?
yeah.
Okay, so
that is a great idea.
But
actually.
what if you did a church camp where it's just like truther based, like
Not boring.
discernment based?
Yeah.
But then, like, what if I brought in like my buddy Mike, and he literally trains people for the like 5 days or whatever, like an hour a day or something of, hey, how do you run a church out of your own house? How do you read the Bible yourself and then teach other people to read the Bible? What if we just had basics like that, and we got all the fun stuff, and we got all the conversations about wacky conspiracy stuff?
So
whatever.
there's already a roadmap for that. We used to do something called Pork Fest when we were gay, libertarians. Porcupine is the libertarian animal. And it was like that. It was like I think it was a whole week, but it was the same sort of thing. And it was a trail, and you could walk around it.
But
and
you were
different
teaching people libertarian values.
how to grow your armpit hair, how to grow mushrooms,
That's
how
so
to
funny.
steal with Bitcoin, things like this. And you can kind of go to whatever tent. But then they had the big one, and they're like, all right, there's going to be a performance going on here. Whoever, big name politician, whatever, libertarian will be there doing this at this time. And it was just like that. And people were just always buzzing and moving around. And
That
it was
is
kind
an
of-
interesting idea.
it was hedonistic because it's libertarian.
Right.
So like at nighttime, it got very straight.
Well,
it's
I
just
think
do
you're
with
going to
that
have
will.
that no matter what, even in conspiracy realm. Like, it's going to get a little wild, but
Yeah.
like, maybe you just account for that and go, hey, look, it's going to be a bunch of normal people here that are trying to follow Jesus.
Yeah.
And maybe the point of this isn't to go, hey, be perfect today.
Yeah,
But-
dude.
Because Jesus, dude, he did not train the disciples for a long time before he sent them out. He had them for a very short time, and then he started sending them out, and he sent them out with nothing, because he sent them out with nothing for the fact that they needed to know how to rely on God to see them through. The next time he sends the disciples out, he lets them take their swords, he lets them take their clothes, he lets them take their money, they get all their stuff. But the first time, they're not trained. He's just teaching them reliance on the Holy Spirit.
I like that. Yeah.
And so it's like the second one I would throw in there is with the, I'm trying to think what part it is. It's where they get some new converts to the faith from the Greeks, and they don't tell them, hey, you got to get everything figured out today. He says, stop eating food sacrificed to idols and stop being sexually immoral. That's where we're going to get you started today. Otherwise, get back to life.
Right. He says the bare minimum is you can't eat anything sacrificed to idols, can't eat anything strangled, can't drink blood, and can't have sex outside of marriage.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, let's just start there. We'll figure out the other stuff later.
Well, there's other people where Paul said, I preach nothing to you but Christ crucified.
Right.
He didn't, that's not the story of Paul. As you read the whole Bible, he preached much more than just Christ
he even
crucified.
says, I profess to know nothing but Christ crucified.
Yeah.
And Paul's a wicked
but he
smart
says
dude.
among you. He says among you, like that group, that was all he was doing with that group, because he was like, let's start with that.
Right.
But
that's huge. So that's, a lot of people within this community of like content creators will stave off, if you've got something to say about conspiracy or you've got something to say about occultism, they don't want to touch it with the 10-foot pole, which I understand. But
what do you mean? Who are you talking about?
I'm talking about a bunch of different people.
Not
in
people
space.
in our sphere. What do you?
Well, I mean, you and I know somebody personally. I don't want to bring their name up.
Doesn't want to touch conspiracy stuff.
Not necessarily conspiracy stuff. Like, here's an example of what I'm talking about. With us, I genuinely love Thomas. What did you say?
Prayed for American. Yeah.
And obviously,
what a stunning example that is, huh?
Yeah. I think it's a fantastic example. It's like, could I have, and would anyone have looked at us weirdly if we said like Thomas is doing stuff that, he's a Freemason and all these other things, and I don't want anything to do with that guy? Would anybody have judged us for that? They would say, no, you're going in a direction that's towards Christ. So yeah, if you're going to drop Thomas along the way, then that makes sense given your direction. But I never felt that compulsion because Thomas is a real ass dude.
Did Thomas drop us? Is a great question.
Never did.
Never.
Thomas never dropped us. He's been the same real ass dude from the very beginning.
And we were doing stuff that was wild to people in wild spaces.
Yes.
They didn't like it.
That scared a lot of those guys away. If we're going into like racial territory or offensive territory, a lot of those dudes that were surrounding Thomas backed away from us because they were scared.
And Thomas was a real one?
Thomas was a real one the whole time.
Yeah, but you want to know how real he is? Then we turn and we're like, complete Jesus, right?
And he's
Thomas,
still there.
Yeah, not agreeing with us, but he's still there for the conversation.
So
Thomas is a person of peace biblically. He's not on the same page as you, but he still loves you, cares about you. He's a connection of sorts to other people. He he's there to help you, even though he's not bought in yet.
And
that's biblical. That's when
just
Jesus sends out the disciples. He says, go find a person of peace in every town you go to.
Yeah.
Stay with them. Let them, take care of you, whatever. But they're not believers yet.
Yeah, but I see what you're getting at.
Well, what I'm trying to get at is just this idea that like, instead of turning my back on him, since I like him, since he's a real dude, since he's a genuine guy who's been consistent since the jump, now it's like, yo, I'm thinking of a day when that dude comes over to the Lord and starts applying all those gifts that he has to like serving the kingdom. Like that's an incredible asset. You know what I mean? Like that's a dude that I would love to see that. So since I would love that so much, it's like, yeah, let's pray for him. Let's keep inviting him to this thing. Let's keep letting him see this thing instead of doing what a lot of other people or even, the church in a lot of examples would do, which is to turn their back. It's like,
but at some point it has to be like, would Jesus talk to this guy? Would Jesus be hanging out with this guy? And I just don't find any scenarios where I'm like, nah, Jesus wouldn't mess with that
dude.
I don't find any, like, as I read through
Thomas
the scripture,
loves the truth, dude.
It's like quite the opposite, dude. Like he's like, that is what they're accusing him of, dude. They're saying you're eating and drinking with publicans and sinners and Freemasons. Okay.
Right.
It doesn't say it like that, but we like those stories when it's 2,000 years ago. We don't like them when it's in our day, dude. And it's on our front door.
A lot of that is rooted in fear too, right? Like I don't have a fear of getting some spiritual rub from Thomas, because if the Lord is with me, then who could be against me, right? Like the whole thing I think is rooted in fear when you start to turn your back on those people. Now, if they're engaging in like vile behavior and they're debased people that are like lying and stuff, I could see if you're not super solid in your walk and you want to protect yourself because this
Sure.
person's a liar and they're a deceiver. But that's never been Thomas. He's never done that. So I don't feel any
Or Owen
compulsion.
Benjamin, same thing.
But-
People are like, oh, why would
Even-
you talk to
even-
that guy? You hear what he says about the Trinity? It's like, dude, you tell me Jesus, if he was walking around right now, wouldn't be like, hey, Owen, we got to talk, man.
But what do I see? I see dudes that love the truth. Like that's what we see, right? Solid dudes that love the truth, that are critical of institutions and all the same things that we're critical of. Like,
Which
yeah, I don't have
Jesus
any problem
was,
with that.
by the way.
Yeah, that's who his beef was
Right.
with.
Right. He was a rebel. But like to your point about like if they were vile or debased, maybe then I'll be honest, biblically, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, chat, but like the only thing I see of where you're to cut ties with somebody vile and debased is somebody who is already a professing believer in Jesus Christ.
Bingo.
And then you go to them and say, hey, you're doing this thing. We got to come away from this thing. And they go, no. So then you come back with 2 more people and you go, hey, you're doing this thing. We got to come away from this. And they go, no. And then you bring them before the church gathering that you
The
have
church.
local, and then they say no. And then you go, okay,
Out.
well, then you don't want anything to do with this.
Right.
Yeah.
We're going to go ahead and separate. We're here when you want to come back into the fold.
Yes.
Great point,
That's the point.
Amen,
That's
brother.
the take.
It's
Great
never to somebody outside the fold.
No,
There's
because
nothing they can
of
do.
course
that's-
they're
supposed to
debased.
rebuke your
Bingo.
brother,
Of course
right?
they're far from Christ.
Yeah, there's nothing they can do that's like so offensive that we're like, oh, I can't mess with
Yeah.
this guy anymore.
Yeah,
It doesn't work like that. We're like, yeah, that's exactly what they do. They don't know God. But it's also like I was telling you before the show, I've been really chewing on this passage where the hooker comes in and is washing Jesus' feet, you know,
I
with
didn't
her
like
with
that.
her
What the hell was
tears.
that? That was
She's
great.
got her hair and her tears. And there's this whole exchange where like the Pharisee is like, oh, this dude thinks he's super deep and holy, dude. He thinks it's super. He doesn't even know that's a hooker washing his feet, man. If he knew, and like the Pharisee just didn't get it. Like Jesus knew she was a hooker and loved her anyway.
Right.
Like there's so much of that happening where the church is like, oh, they have skulls on the wall. Like, yeah, if they
I don't
knew
like
if
that.
they knew what that was about, they wouldn't do it. It's like, no, we know what that's about, and like we're doing it, you know. Or they just look at you and say, oh, he's talking to that person. He must not know that he's a
Yeah.
Freemason. It's like, no, we know,
Well-
we know, and we love him anyway. Like what?
That's where like it gets really weird for me, where we start thinking like church should look like this, and maybe this is another like nod to the Catholic or Eastern Orthodox side of things. But even like the high Protestant churches like Anglicanism or Lutheranism or whatever, where it's like everybody's in all this fancy dress and everything is so polished and pretty and holy and other. And I look at the Bible and Jesus is just down in the middle of the
Trenches, yeah.
junk. He's getting his feet washed with a prostitute's hair, like he's being crucified. You know, he's living a brutal life. He's
Yeah.
living in the wilderness.
Yeah.
There is nothing polished, nothing pretty about any of it. And then we gravitate to this place where we're like, yeah, but once you're there, though, once you know Jesus, now you got to start looking this way. And I'm like, Jesus knew
Weird.
Jesus.
And I
Jesus knew Jesus better than anybody else. And he was down in the junk, dirty, gross,
yeah,
living with the craziest people you've ever seen. He didn't pick the Pharisees to change their hearts. He could have. He could have changed the hearts of the Pharisees. God could have just said, no, you get it now. That's not what he did. He picked up the prostitutes and the fishermen and the tax collectors, the most hated, scummy people in society, and he built his church on those people. And
Yeah.
so it's like, why is it different now?
Well, he was getting the Pharisees too, man, especially the real ones right from the jump, like Nicodemus.
That's
But
true.
like I even see in a lot of his stuff when he's engaging with them, like, dude, he's trying to win them, dude. Like he's trying to win them too.
And he
Like,
does eventually with Nicodemus.
Yeah. But yeah, and I don't see anywhere where it's like, oh, and correct me if I'm wrong, maybe you have found some of these passages where I'm like, oh, on that day of the week, he's acting different. Like that's
No.
his day that he does like his religious activity. That's the day where he's like, you know, the other 6 days he's like doing this and that, but that's the one day that he chooses to do like religious
I
activity.
mean, he does go to the synagogues and like he does preach, but even when he does, he's still like doing crazy stuff.
exactly
like
the same
he's
as
walking
any of
in
the
and
other
saying,
stories.
yeah, I'm the guy, I'm the Messiah. And then they take him out to stone him. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, so
yeah.
it's not like he's fitting in.
Yeah, I
when
can't
he
find
is there.
anywhere where he's like talking in a different tone
No.
or using different language. It's like, dude, yeah, okay, he's in the synagogue some days, but he's talking exactly like he is when he's
Consistent
out
to
in the
same
street.
guy.
Like,
So he's
there's
not
no
doing like a
difference.
trembly voice.
No,
like for
he's
some
not
of the-
doing the pastor voice.
That's interesting.
He's not doing like any of the stuff. He's not asking
Okay.
for donations.
Okay, sorry.
There's
We
no
got
record of him
trembly
asking
voice
for
real quick.
donations.
Hold on, I got to say this though, David. You see it though,
See what?
the
What do you mean?
trembly voice, right?
Like when they do it, you're saying like, yeah,
You
I'm
see
aware of it.
You
Yeah.
notice.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I'm gonna put it, I'll put it on you.
Don't put a pox on my household.
If you notice that and
Yeah.
you understand why they're doing this, and then we can also look around and see why that other people don't notice it.
Yeah. That's always
It's
weird.
a bit on you if you're gonna be
Keep
bothered.
going. Yeah.
No, bothered by it. Like you see through it. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. We just went and saw Spider-Man. They're doing their
I'm with you.
33 feet thing. We know like the
Sure,
superhero or a rendition of the Nephilim.
Top instantly ruined the movie for me.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Leaned over, he went.
But that's the thing
33
is
feet.
Spider-Man's not professing Jesus.
Yeah, that's a different stop.
It doesn't.
Right.
No, it
He's
doesn't.
always sticking up for the 501c3.
No, I'm just saying if you see through the spell, don't
Yeah.
be so bothered by it.
Well,
Well, I mean, I think it
Spend
is
more time
something
in
that
it.
I have to decide is like, do I keep going to the thing while they're doing the thing that I am
As
greatly
soon as it
disturbed
becomes
by?
a waste of time, that's when you don't go.
I will
Hmm.
say the greatest compliment I ever got from anybody was my buddy Jimmy looked at me one day and he said,
Shout out to
I
Jimmy.
tell everybody that the way you preach is exactly the way you will talk to me if you come in here and you sit down with me and we have a conversation.
Amen, brother.
And that came across really nice, but you said the Trimley voice thing and it got me thinking, dude, I will say,
You do the trim.
You do it?
no,
Yeah.
Dirty dog, you
No,
sandbagging son of a gun.
No. But I don't want to be
Share
perceived
my
that
heart, church.
I don't ever want to be perceived that I am doing that. But what I will say is like, dude, I've gotten to the point in the last few months, like I said, I was kind of going through it where I always pray like, hey God, you've got to talk through me. It can't be me up here. Give this room the words they need. And like, thoughts just sort of come. I'll just kind of go off the cuff with certain passages, even though I know kind of where we're going. And dude, I get choked up preaching, like actually, like, and I always feel bad because I'm like, don't you cry up here.
No,
Don't
that's
you
like
cry."
real preaching. It has emotion behind it.
But I
dude.
never want somebody to think I'm faking it,
Well,
and
okay,
that's a real fear of
Well,
mine.
no, dude,
So
the
that's
real
the
the
thing,
real
though.
ones cry when they preach, dude.
I've
It's
talked
not.
about that before. Like that shaky voice, that trembly voice has to come from somebody originally emulating somebody else who actually was coming to tears on stage. You know what I mean? Because there's a thing that happens to you if you start to get choked up where it's hard to summon your voice and there's a lot of wavering pitch and tone in your voice. And in those moments, obviously that's a powerful message that's going to resonate because there's an emotion that's coming through. So the congregation is always also going to like.
I've never even compared those two things, dude. The OGs,
No, it's like a caricature.
Derek Prince, Ravenhill. I've seen both of them cry when they preach, dude. But
Jesus wept, not a bot. Thank you.
But it's not cute though. Like it's not either one of those guys. They're preaching fire and they cry, and you're like embarrassed. Like
Yeah,
it's
that's what I'm
not.
saying.
It's not cute. It's like,
No, it's
oh
like,
dang, dude. Like this is hitting hard.
'Cause here's
It's
the other thing,
nothing
dude.
like the church voice.
because like I was talking about earlier, like you kind of prep all week and then the thing happens and you're like, God, speak through me. I'll go back and listen to some. It doesn't happen with every sermon, but there are some where people walk up and be like, dude, like that was really good today. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I'll walk off not knowing how I felt about how it
Mhm.
went. I'll go back and listen to some sermons. It's like I'm hearing it for the first time.
Yeah.
And not all of it. Like I'm like, oh, I remember that part. But I was talking to my buddy Sam recently and we're wired very similarly. And he said, like, when he gets talking to people about Jesus, people will be like, I love when you said that. He's like, I don't remember saying that
Right.
part. Because I really do believe God uses us as vessels if we allow him to. It's still through our tone, it's still through our timbre, our wiring, but it's like he kind of hijacks your system and he takes over.
Yeah.
And I think you just have to let him.
Amen.
And I think where we mess up is we go, I want the Holy Spirit to move today. Me and Top talked about this the other day. I want the Holy Spirit to move in this, but then we go, but you got to move right here in this
Yeah.
3-minute segment that
Yeah.
we've carved out for you to move, Holy
Right.
Spirit. And this system really kind of negates
It's
that
not
as
only
well.
that with the preaching. Finney used to say that he'd be preaching and then he would say something to the extent of like, if you want this salvation, if you want this life in Christ, stand up. And like 1,000 people would stand up and he'd go,
Sit down.
yeah, hold
Yeah.
on. You know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah.
Yeah, hold on, sit back down. I'm talking about like you're going to give your life completely to Christ. Like this is what you're doing. Your old self's going to die. I'm calling you to salvation, to this new life, to be born again. If you want that, stand up. Boom. They all stand up. And he finally concluded that like, he was like, I didn't preach anything deep.
There's a second half to that story. A woman leaves that service and she goes home to her bedridden sister who can't go to church. And she walks in and she said, you're never going to believe it. She said like 500,000 people, whatever, just they all stood up and they gave their life to Christ. And she said, I've been here for days praying that God would bring people to him today in this church service because that preacher was coming to town, and she'd just been in her bed praying all day.
Yeah.
And it's like, so,
And he had a dude, Nash, that would pray for him. Finney had a dude that
Mhm.
he rolled with. Nash, I think was his name, that would pray too. But that's ultimately what he was saying, is it wasn't by like great words and great articulation of big words. It was just like a very simple message, and the Holy Spirit like took it from there.
yeah. Can I give you a miracle I saw last year?
Yeah.
I know
Love
we're
that.
probably coming up close.
No,
to time or
There's
something
no
like that,
stopping
but,
time now, dude, because we're in the in-between time now.
So my buddy Tony, it would have been
Shout out, Tony.
Tony's the man, dude. Tony
He
is
really
such a good
is,
dude.
dude.
He really is, man. This guy, I don't know. But Tony, he's a pastor of it's a more charismatic church. I'm gonna be real with you. Like the worship style, not my thing. Like it's like very
Running around,
it's wild,
flags,
but it's also
banners.
not charismania. I think there's a level that's
Tambourines?
too far. They're not there. No
No
tambourines.
shaking on the ground.
No shaking on the ground that I've seen. There's
This
probably
doesn't sound
some every once
very
in a while.
Pentecostal or charismatic.
It's
dude.
not like it's just more charismatic than like my church, for
Hymns.
instance, where like you gotta like people are breaking their arms to raise a hand. You know what I'm saying?
The Church of the Chosen Frozen, yeah.
It's the chosen frozen. I'm using that. But Tony, he was supposed to preach on Christmas and he'd not been feeling great for a few weeks. He ended up telling one of his like co-pastors, like, hey, you're gonna have to take this from me. I can't do this tonight. And he leaves and he goes to the ER and he gets in and they take him and they do an EKG. They said, we don't know how you walked in here. Like you're dying. And they put him in the room. They realize his heart is operating at 5% capacity.
Jeez.
And he's entering total organ failure. They have a hand pump that they run a catheter up and they're pumping his heart by hand to keep him alive. They've got him hooked on all these tubes. I'll be so real with you. I told you about my buddy Mike. All these pastors, we've all gotten texts from Mike at this point, and we're all like, oh man, we'll be praying for him, but like we're just going to stay out of their way. This has got to be crazy. There's going to be doctors everywhere. We'll pray, whatever. Mike just barges in. Mike just shows up at the church and he's like just there. So he's texting us. He's like, Tony's dying. You all pray now. Like we pray. This has to be prayer. And he starts telling everybody. This dude's got like 500, 600 people nationwide praying for him regularly through this time. Jason, my co-host on the podcast, we're driving to the hospital. It's like 3 days later. Tony's hooked on tubes. It's bad. It's all bad. Nothing we've heard is good. They're telling him you're going to have a heart transplant or you're going to die, but you're going to die if we give you a heart transplant.
Oh, geez.
And so they put him in a room and they're like, hey, you're going to die in here. They literally tell his family that. They tell him that. This is how this is being communicated the whole time. So we're driving to the hospital and I'm looking at Jason and I'm like, so dude, like Tony's going to die, right? Like short of a miracle, Tony dies. And Jason's like, yeah, that's how I understand it. And so we walk in the hospital and I'm super weirded out by this because like this is a good friend of mine and I know I'm going to walk in here and this dude's going to be hooked up to tubes. He's not going to be conscious, whatever. I round the corner, I can see the bed and there's nobody in the bed. And like for a second, I'm like, oh my gosh, he's dead. You know, like that's the first thought. And I walk in the room and I hear, hey, what's up, guys? Tony is sitting in a chair in the corner of the room eating a salad. He's got nothing hooked to him, maybe like an IV, you know, but nothing crazy. And we're like, hey. And a nurse walks in and she starts talking to him. So we go over to the corner. There's another friend of his in the room. He's like, guys, this is crazy. He said, you know, they put him in this room. They said, you're never leaving this room. You're going to die here. And now they're like totally changing their tone, like something shifted or whatever. So we sit down with Tony. We start talking to him. He said, yeah, I was at 5% heart capacity, total organ failure. Said I was going to die here. And, you know, little by little, you know, it started going up to 10% and 15%, 20%. My organs started, you know, healing. Everything's starting to work now. And they're telling me I'm going to be out of here in the next couple of weeks. And
Wow.
we talked to his daughter in the lobby, and she's like, the doctors just keep saying they don't know what's happening. They don't know how this is possible.
Dude.
And she said, I just keep looking at them and saying, you don't know how this is possible. This is God. My dad has hundreds of people praying for him right now. You're watching a miracle happen.
Amen.
And I'm going to be real with you, dude. In all of, I've got 9 years in ministry, you know, 6 as a pastor, whatever, but 9 years in this ministry, I've never seen anything like that. I am so happy I got to see that because I've known that's a fact. I know God does
Yeah.
that. But like to see that on
Yeah.
someone, you know, I walked in, I'm expecting a dead man. I see my friend in a chair eating a salad. Like
That's awesome.
I say that because, you know, talking about the power of prayer, bringing people to God. Like, I mean, prayer is so crucial, dude. And we
Yeah.
just don't do it. And I was saying, Dark Waters had me feeling all bad because, you know, he does he'll just break out in prayer in the middle.
yeah,
We need to
dude.
pray about that right now. It's like, yeah, we do. Why don't I
Yeah.
do that?
We had like a missing child. He's like, we want to pray.
Well, it's an ultimate declaration of faith, right? Instead of bringing these things to God after a bunch of systems fail you, he does it instantly. God is the first go-to to solve his issues.
Right.
And
He
I think
should be
that's-
the first go-to. Yeah.
That's it. That's what
He
faith-
should
that's
be like the calculating factor for us.
that's what powerful faith looks like, right? I mean, I have faith in God so much that I don't go to this system, I don't go to this doctor, I don't do anything before I go to him first to solve my issues. Like that's what that looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
that's
don't
a
think there's
crazy
anything
story.
wrong with you're like, Lord, I got to get this resolved.
Sure.
I know you. I love you. I know you can heal this. And he's like, yeah, but you can start with Tylenol. Like there's, you know,
Sure.
you can like,
Right.
take that. Like,
Right.
I-
I've
like, I'm
given
not
you some
against-
stuff for this,
Yeah.
you know?
I think there's both, but yeah, it's
No,
just
I
a
mean,
balance thing, right?
Yeah.
It's like, it's a lot of times we're just like, no, it's only the pill or the doctor,
Right,
and
right.
it's not God.
No, but I mean, listen, because I would say that, you know, your healing could well come through a system. God could be in that operating room with you and will be in that but I'm saying what I'm learning more and more about God of what he likes is that faith.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not to
You're
say
right.
that
You're
you're not
right.
going to go to God first and God's not going to put it on your heart to like, yeah, bitch, get in the ambulance. Like you got to
Yeah,
go
you're right.
now.
You're right. And that should be our first thing. And even like John G. Lake, the OGs, like early 1900s, like they wouldn't go to the medical system for anything.
Mhm.
Like for anything. They're like, I'd rather die than go to the medical system
Well, that's
instead
but the
of God.
problem. What Zach is talking about, and this is just something that I picked up from the story, is like, yeah, they're speaking death over you.
Right.
Yeah.
They're telling you you're going to die in this room. You're never going to leave this room. Like that is,
But
they have to mitigate
But some of these
expectations. They have to-
OGs
they do, but also like that situation is now ministering to these doctors.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And
absolutely.
Tony's just sitting there. His family's like, no, we're not taking that.
Yeah,
Like we're
that's
going to
huge.
pray that God's, I've got a second one. This one's really short, but Larry Crane was the guitar player for John Mellencamp. My dad knew Larry, hometown kind of thing.
Is your dad a musician too?
No, it's born in a small town, bro. Come on.
Makes
know.
sense. You kind of know everybody.
Yeah. So like, I mean, that's sort of, if you don't know this person, you know their parents sort of thing.
Right.
Right. Well, his mom, Patty, she got cancer. She got like stage 3 cancer. The doctor looks at her. He says, you've got 3 months to live. And she said, no, I'm good. And he said,
yeah, dude, let's go.
he
No,
said,
you.
he said,
Yeah, I like that. No, it's like the doctor who said, I'll give you got 6 months to live. And then the guy couldn't pay his bill. So he gave him another 6 months.
there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
But she said, no, I'm good. And he said, Patty, you're terminal. And she said, Doc, we're all terminal.
I like
She
that.
said, we're dying.
Shout out, Patty.
Everyone here is dying someday.
Yeah.
Nobody's making off this thing.
Yeah.
But she said, but you don't know my Jesus. And she walks out. Dude, she died 30 years later of old age.
I love Patty.
Yeah, it was terminal.
It was terminal. Yeah, I got her.
It was coming.
Got her. Well,
It
it's
was
always
coming,
coming,
yeah.
right? But like, yeah, I mean, I think you get to determine, like, do you get to speak death over me? Because my
Yeah.
buddy Corey just went in for a cancer treatment, and his entire doctor team, they prayed over him before they did surgery.
I like that.
Well, that's it. You have to come into agreement with it. It just a little throwback to that last discussion that we had on NDS with Dr. Jerry Marzinski. He told us a fascinating story about a woman that was a patient of his, a schizophrenic woman, who said that in churches and in the hospitals where she sees the most demonic activity, it would make sense that, you know, the enemy would try to hit you, of course, right, in something that deigns to be the house of the Lord. But within the medical apparatus, she would see doctors giving diagnoses to patients, and she could see in her state, in her spiritual state, these things coming out of the doctor's mouths like slimy black frogs that would cling on to the patient. And it's like, yeah, do you come into agreement with that spirit? Like, that's what you're talking
Yeah.
about is like, yeah, I don't agree with that. Like, no, I don't have 3 months to live. You
Right.
don't know Jesus, but other people are getting that because there is this authority that is the medical industry. And when it diagnoses you, if it's a death sentence, then that's what it is.
Exactly.
So these people are coming into agreement with these spirits, and she was actually seeing that in the spirit, which I think is a God-given gift that the enemy has twisted up and messed that woman all up about. But these doctors are going around and they're just trying to make sure that they're covered as far as their liability. They want to manage expectations. They don't want you to think that someone's going to be all right when on paper it does not appear that way.
Because then you might sue me.
Might sue me, right? But through that process, that's what it's become now. That's how they operate. The enemy is working through that, and now you're coming into agreement with these diagnoses, these curses.
Have you seen Dr. Sleep?
Yes, I have, dude.
What you just said reminded me of the cat.
Remind me of that.
The cat would go in and sit down at the foot of the bed of somebody that was going to die.
What is Dr. Sleep?
That's right.
It's the sequel to The Shining. And in that
movie, a movie or a TV show?
It's a movie and a book.
When did it come out?
Years ago.
Ewan McGregor, great. It is
a Stephen King novel.
Yeah, he plays Danny. He plays Jack's son, but grown up, and now he's suffering with his own demons.
Okay.
But the whole thing is like that cat's kind of like it's a twisted version of the truth. Like the cat's this omen of death. It walks in, it knows when you're going to pass.
Now you agree with it.
But they look at it as a sense of comfort, and that's kind of what he becomes to them. As he goes in and he sits with them.
That's right.
And he becomes this sense of comfort to him. But it's like, no, dude, say go away.
Yeah.
Get out of my room.
100%. Don't agree with that.
But it looks cute in the movie. So we go, oh, that's nice.
That's everything. That's so much of what I've learned from Ed Mabry too. And Laura Baker, we were really blessed to have those people at Bro Grove. But it's like, they really taught me this idea of coming into agreement with these things. Like, that is how the consent aspect of the spiritual realm works to a large degree. And so, yeah, man, you're going to the doctor and they're speaking death over you.
I think that's something I probably picked up on through your guys' show, because that's not something I've grown up hearing a lot about, but it makes absolute sense to me. And you guys have brought it up a lot.
Well, it makes sense within the scientific or biological term framework of the placebo effect. Because there's also the nocebo effect. So it goes either way. If you believe this sugar pill is going to cure you of your ailment, where there is faith in that, I suppose, or belief in that. And somehow there is this biological function that takes place in some people that's perceivable where they do get better.
Right.
And so if that works in that direction, then what if I give you a sugar pill that says you're going to die?
Right.
And so, and it's not a sugar pill in this instance, it's words that are spoken over you, which that's prophesying, right? There's something powerful about the spoken word. And if what Ed Mabry says is true, you speak a thing, it happens in the spiritual, and then it takes place in the physical. There's so many layers to why this could be and why it does make a lot of sense. And so
100%.
I'm in this place now where like, I don't agree with shit, man.
This one's kind of on that same concept, but like, so my wife is
I'm
pregnant.
sorry, this isn't that show.
No, it's fun. It's fun. It happened yesterday. I was like, oh, it just happened to me. Oh, I did the thing.
Everybody calm down.
But so my wife's pregnant. Got a baby due in December.
Let's go.
Here's the thing. I like horror movies.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah,
I always have.
Dr. Sleep is a banger.
You want to know why? Here, I heard somebody really put what I kind of felt. Like I said, I'm good at like, I have all these feelings, and I hear somebody and I go, "Oh, that's the thing."
Like why somebody would love a horror
that's
movie.
What the enemy's
So there's
doing.
this dude called the Lord's Giant on Instagram, and he said this once, and I was like, "Yep, that." There's this thing about horror movies that I love, and I couldn't put my finger on it. It's this: horror movies actually tell you who the bad guy is and who the good guy is. They may be the only type of movie that does that.
That's interesting.
You watch a comedy and the main character, the guy you're rooting for, is cheating on his girlfriend and he's in all this trouble, and they're passing it off as, oh, this is funny. This is good. You should be rooting for this guy.
Yeah.
Horror movies go, that's the bad guy. That's the good guy. Bad guy is trying to kill the good guy. This is the whole problem of the movie.
Yes.
That's real life.
Huh.
And it's the only ones that get it right for the most part.
I like that.
So I'm watching this movie called Undertone. Do you know what this is?
No, I'm not familiar
Dude,
with
it
it.
messed me up.
Deftones is, but I don't know.
I made
Undertones.
it 3/4 of the way through the movie, and you get to the end and you realize the whole thing is it's a podcast horror movie. So the whole thing is audio based. You're seeing her in her room, but all the horror is happening through through these sound bites she's getting from people, and it starts playing toward the beginning of the movie, but towards the end of the movie, you realize it's all a ritual to summon this demon that crushes pregnant women and children.
Whoa.
What?
And I stopped and I went, I don't care if this is a movie. I have to shut this off because this is too real right now.
Oh, okay.
Where
yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, I've got a pregnant wife
Yeah,
down
but
the
I
hall
guess
asleep
what I
right
would
now.
say to that is no shit. Like that's why you
But
don't
you
watch
but-
horror
but
movies.
but they're not all that. And the problem is that is the danger of horror movies. You're fair on that.
yeah, I'm not
You
gonna.
don't know what you're getting into, but you don't know what you're getting into with any movie. You know what I'm saying? We went and saw Spider-Man and they're shoving Freemason junk down our throat in 15 minutes.
And it's
Fair.
also
So-
like, what is
Yeah.
he doing when he's shooting webs?
I just don't
really?
see any benefit to the horror stuff, dude. To just bring fear into your spirit for no reason. I'm like, I don't know.
Aside from the one I just gave you.
I
But
might
it's
check
cool,
that
man.
one out though. Undertones, because Laney says that he liked it and Nancy liked it as well, and they're pretty good judges of entertainment in my estimation. So
What, Nancy's in the chat?
No, but Laney must have had a discussion with Nancy. And so,
Oh
um,
crap! I gotta call Nancy's buddy about the thing. I totally forgot.
He told me no right away,
I know. I was just trying to be funny though.
and then he didn't.
Dang it!
That's an interesting. I do like that though. That there's a clear delineation between the good guy and the bad guy. Because oftentimes we've skirted.
You're just
into
looking for
this-
an excuse to watch horror movies.
No,
dude.
I mean it is a valid point though. Like in comedies, typically the male protagonist. I mean, it's less of a protagonist because there's not necessarily a hero and a villain in a comedy all the time, overtly, but they are like bumbling, immoral kind of morons.
depending on the female for
take,
everything.
Take action movies, dude. John Wick. Oh, cool. We're rooting for John Wick. This guy just took the law into his own hand and
eliminated
murdered
hundreds of people.
people.
Yeah, yeah.
And we're like, yeah,
I
they
would've-
killed his dog.
I
This
wouldn't
is
watch that either.
What?
Love
You wouldn't
that
watch
movie.
John Wick? Man, I got words about you. I want to say them, but it's your show. Yeah, man, John Wick crushes. That's ridiculous. I cannot believe
It is a really fun
It's
movie,
a really
but
fun movie. Yeah.
You just got to go. Maybe
I don't
do
watch a
that.
lot of movies now that we're talking about it. They're based on like reality. Like I only watch like Avatar or Avengers or like Guardians of the Galaxy. It's got to be like a
you gotta watch
otherworldly
Spider-Man.
thing.
Spider-Man's good.
I might watch it, but I'm not gonna go pay for it in a movie theater. I'm gonna wait till
Oh,
it
you're
comes
gonna
out.
pirate it? Yeah.
No, I'm not gonna pirate it. I'm just gonna wait a year to watch it.
All right. Oh, okay. All right.
Fair
Okay.
enough.
Which is neither here nor there. It's not like
No.
it's whatever.
This
Everybody's
guy's
different.
obviously trying.
But
to
that's
take this
wild.
thing
You
for a
guys
landing
like-
right now, dude.
Yeah.
What's
You
that,
heard the
man?
I did the I'm not gonna do the It's your show. Everything's fine. No, please continue.
No, I'm letting you do your thing.
I
man.
just I thought that was cool though. It is cool because I wouldn't say that that's why I definitely like horror movies.
You're just looking for an excuse to make it right.
No,
make
it's
it
an
okay.
aspect of it that I've never noticed. I don't care. I'm going to keep watching horror movies. I've experienced enough bizarre shit in my life that is not due to horror movies. And I think it's much more due to generational iniquity. In other words, I watch a lot of horror movies still, and all of that stuff has entirely ceased. So I look at it more so for it's surprising how accurate very many horror movies, very many paranormal movies in particular are in the way that they describe the paranormal activity or
Yep.
the demonic activity. They're what looks like a clever plot device is almost exclusively it's entirely adaptable to testimony. Like it's just reality. It's the reality of people having these experiences so often that you're seeing. So I don't really. Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Oh,
Matt, you can
no.
actually read the chat if you'd like.
Oh yeah, that's real.
Dwight Chokum. Zach, you definitely shouldn't tell Matt about working in haunted houses. He'll judge you hard.
You know, dude, at the rate you're sending them super chats, you probably could have just bought a ticket. That's all I'm
It's
saying.
true,
Oh, he was the
man.
guy that's supposed to come, huh?
Send it.
Heard about you.
Send the super chat. Let's read super chats.
No,
man. With Zach.
That was the only one.
Oh.
I worked in a haunted house
Whatever.
for like 10 years. It's
Yeah, you've mentioned
10
that
years
before.
in a haunted house.
It's a debased place. Yeah.
Wait, what do
yeah.
you mean? Like a Halloween
All
haunted
right,
house?
you ready for this? I've always wanted to either do an episode or like a full blown documentary on trying to get to the bottom of this. I can't figure out, we're way off topic now. I can't figure out what the cross section is between the haunted house industry, the professional wrestling industry, the professional paintball industry,
And methamphetamine.
porn,
Oh,
and like the Comic-Con circuit.
What do you mean? Those people, there are people that like one of those, like
They're
all five of them?
in one sphere, bro. They all know
If
each
you
other.
like one of those, you like
name
all
them
five.
again. It's
It's
haunted house.
haunted
industry.
houses, paintball. I would put like Ren fairs in there too.
Paintball.
Paintball.
I know the paintball type. I know what you're talking about.
Professional wrestling, porn, and like the convention circuit.
So besides the porn, I would say the LARP.
Oh, and Disney.
Well, porn is a LARP too.
Would you say like
That's
Disney adults as well? Because they all fall in that
Well,
category.
all those people that he just described, a little bit grittier than a Disney adult.
It is grittier.
No, I mean the pro wrestling crowd is very Disney adult like now.
That's interesting. I mean, there's also you start to get into other things like Marvel and stuff. You can toss that into that pot as well. But I think it might be the LARP.
Which
It
is
is
really
this-
interesting because
What's
my
a
buddy
LARP
Jimmy
again?
said fantasy.
Well, just this idea of shucking off your identity and just pretending to be somebody else. And I think most of those industries that you've
that's-
described,
They're kind of built on it.
they are built on that. Yeah.
Right, because none of them are based on reality. Like a haunted house isn't real.
The way that people
Pro
act
wrestling isn't
in a
real.
haunted house is kind of crazy. I went to a interactive play once, I think. It was called Sleep No More, and it was Macbeth, the Shakespearean Macbeth. And what happens is they turn an entire hotel floor into Macbeth, and you have a mask. And
I've seen that.
yeah,
kind of
you're
thing.
allowed to go. So the hotel is completely decked out, much more like apartments and stuff like that. It's not just like generic hotel rooms. So each area you go in is totally different, and it is as fleshed out as this library is right now. There are pens and drawers and clipboards and books and everything, and you are free to interact with absolutely anything you want, except for the actors who are acting out Macbeth around you. Now, there's a scene that's happening. You are free to leave. It doesn't matter. And you can go to another room entirely and start pulling through drawers and reading notes and doing all kinds of stuff. And the idea is
with a mask on.
you have this mask
Why
on.
does this sound so stupid?
It's super
It
creepy.
just sounds gay.
It was actually really well done. So eventually what happens is you do all organically, or it seems organically, but there is some rails that guide you to this last final act of the play where everyone's standing in front of the actors and everyone's wearing masks, and then the big finale happens. But there is this thing with the anonymity. I'm just going to say there's a spirit over it.
Mhm.
And there is this heaviness to it too, because you're not talking. They tell you not to talk. So you're not talking. You're moving through this thing entirely independent, alone. You're not with anybody. Nobody can recognize, nobody can see faces. And through that, what emerges is this, like, it's almost like, not as aggressive, but it's like an altar. It's an altar.
It's sort of what happens to you when you sit down like on the comment section on YouTube and you're like, I'm untouchable right now.
Very similar. But
you're just straight up inviting demons in. Like you're just straight up. You're putting a mask on.
I would say
you're
through
taking
that way,
on this other personality. You're
It's
like
not something that
lending
you're
yourself
actively-
over to something.
So it's not something you're actively taking on because you're not talking and you're not allowed to interact with the actors at all. You're really just observing. But in this way, there is like many of the elements that would be you, your facial expressions, everything is stripped away.
Other than Raven,
Yeah,
then
yeah,
you're
yeah.
inviting something to come in.
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
what they were
Where
doing.
acting in general gets weird.
Yes.
in these older parties, like they'll do a masquerade party. We've spoken about this before.
Yeah.
They'll cover their face, and then the masquerades turn into something like orgies, and
Yeah,
it gets
dude.
real wild.
That's scary.
It's a Christian show, dude.
I know, but that's the point of
Well,
it.
there's
It's-
the
It's eyes wide
overlap.
shut.
There's the overlap to the
yeah.
porn.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's-
Well,
It's-
but going back to the porn thing, I mean, that's a LARP too, because it's the person viewing it, putting themselves in the shoes of the thing happening.
Wait, so you're saying that guy wasn't really a plumber? I'm sorry.
That's
was
inappropriate. It's very inappropriate. What was the other things? There was 5 of them.
I don't remember.
Haunted house.
Wrestling.
Okay, so
wrestling
you worked in a haunted house
for like 10 years.
Okay, but what does that mean? Like
Oh, yeah,
one,
we
one
totally-
month out of the year?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
But then we would go like,
What do you mean? You were like a
build.
guy with a mask that would go scare people?
honestly, through the later years, it was just I made a lot of friends in it, and I would just go like we'd go make sure the place didn't burn down while other people acted the
But
positions.
the beginning years, you had the mask on.
yeah,
you
I
were,
was like
coming through with an
15, and that was
axe.
awesome.
You scared
And then by the
people.
time I'm like 18, I'm like, I don't know that I want to work. I kind of just want to go walk around and make sure people aren't getting into fights.
Yeah.
You know, so it kind of turned into like
I
more
always love
security.
that when people go to haunted houses, then they try to fight the
I
actors.
got punched in the face so many
It's
times,
like,
dude.
dude, what are you doing? Why are you
Wait,
signing
that's a
up for
thing?
this?
That's a
Because
thing.
you
Yeah.
like scared them?
Well, they come drunk, and
Yeah.
then you scare their girlfriend, and then they have to act cool, so then they hit you. Yeah,
That's super cool.
What?
yeah, it's really cool. It's very cool.
Huh.
We have veered from the path, my friends.
No, there's no, like, we're just here, dude.
I get it.
You're telling your story. We're like unpacking stuff. We already let you trash the 501c3, which you love to do, which is fine.
He really
And,
liked that part.
we can kind of go wherever from there, dude. Oh, are they giving you the look like you got to finish? Because
I don't know. I can't read anybody. It's kind of
yeah,
fun.
no, do your thing, dude.
Top's just like
What
eyes on the
else?
screen over there.
So if Top does very abruptly make us
do
stop,
the thing.
he does the money sign.
Oh, you do it to Matt too?
Oh yeah, when
That's
he wants
awesome.
money, dude,
I'm
he
glad.
just goes like this, dude.
How much
Matt
do you give
doesn't-
him?
Was it what?
He
would you-
doesn't listen.
If it was the end, like if it was, like what else was the stuff maybe you hoped we would have talked about, like in this episode, or
Well,
just anything that's on your mind?
I don't know, man. Like I was totally prepared to talk Bible, but then that would take
invited
a
the
ton of
Raven
time. Well, no,
on the
this
show,
was really
yeah.
I'm
fun.
sorry. Yeah,
This-
why'd you invite
No,
me?
I'm really glad this conversation has happened as is, because we sort of had this conversation once before, but this is a different tempo, not having a scream between us.
Yes, dude. Yeah, it's so
Um,
much better.
So yeah, this got a lot further into kind of, I think, my actual views on it.
How
I feel
long
like
are you in town?
This is it, man. I'm leaving right after this.
You're leaving right after this?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's all good.
Oh, you know.
But
I see what you're doing.
here's
No,
what
I
I
was
will
just
say.
Trying to get him to move down here, dude.
Well, I know.
Like,
I was
oh,
saying
Matt,
because
you
you didn't
can't
get a
do
chance
that,
to get into scripture, like really,
No,
heavily.
we're gonna do shows like from
Yeah, we can
because
do
we were
something.
running into trouble where I only had Tuesdays before.
Yeah, I've got Mondays.
But now
and
he's a
Tuesdays.
full-time podcaster.
Yeah, we can make something happen. So,
Yeah.
But no, here's what I'll say, because I know you guys love compliments, and I like to give them because
Look at his
think
face.
It makes you very uncomfortable and it's fun. You guys, I hear you a lot of the time kind of it's not like aw shucks, but it's kind of like aw shucks, where it's like, oh no, we're not a ministry. We're not, like that's for pastor
I don't believe
people.
I've ever had anybody actually define that term for me. And I've
Ministry?
never done it for
It,
myself.
it means your life. Because I remember the first time somebody said, "Hey, what's your ministry?" I was like, "What do you mean?" And like, your ministry. They're like, "Yeah, like I have this thing," and they just started like naming things. Like this guy was clearly going out of his way to have multiple like ministries. And I just remember saying, "Oh, you mean my life?" Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't like in a weird, I was just like, "Oh, you mean my life?" Like,
But but it's a life of intentionality too. Like it's a life given to God.
Amen.
To preach the word. And the reason I bring that up is like, whether you guys see yourselves as that or not, you minister to me a lot
You specifically
on this show. Now you also, I gotta, there every once in a while, when we're talking about, eating Charlie Kirk or something, it might get a little off the rails and like, okay, maybe this part
Yeah.
isn't like
Time to
it,
tune
but
out. It's
but
fair.
like as often as you guys do, like there's this thing Paul says where he's like, in so much as I
emulate Christ.
emulate Christ, emulate me. It's the same thing here. There's plenty of parts of you. There's plenty of parts of me that do not emulate Christ. And I would tell anybody not to emulate those parts of any person. But there are a lot of parts of all of you that do. And you guys are doing something beautiful here. Seriously. And
Thank
this is
you.
my glazing of the show.
I
for a
appreciate
moment.
the
Right on,
glazing. I'm
dude.
mad
But,
that you
I
waited
love
so
that.
long to glaze.
Thank you. I'll just say,
Thank you,
I know.
Glazosaurus Rex.
I know.
Tell me more. Keep going. Yeah.
That is interesting, though. That's something that people say, and I don't have a context for minister or ministering, like to be a
Mhm.
minister, to have a ministry.
You shouldn't.
I don't have a context for those. And when you're describing that guy asking you, the only context that I have is kind of like a dude in a suit on a stage.
Yeah, and even not only that, it's just like it goes with the same thing where people were like, "Hey, we're going out to Walmart to witness,"
Oh, that's crazy.
and no, people do it all the time. Like it's like and I'm not even like against it, but I just remember the first time
I feel like
hearing
that's
this, I
crazy.
was like, "What do you mean?" They're like, "Yeah, we're going to Walmart to witness," and I was like, "Well, have you been to Walmart lately to get like milk and eggs and stuff?" They're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Well, you were a witness then too, right?" And they're like, no, but we're like going to witness. And I just had this complete disconnect between like, yeah, but if you go there to like get the food and you're at the register and you're like doing, you're like, if your alarm clock goes off,
all the time.
you're a witness. And they're like, no, we're like specifically going to witness. And I was just trying to like wrap my head around. I was like, yeah, I don't know.
Oh
if
yeah,
that's,
somebody
like,
actually
a
brought up
thing.
a good point. Do you mean maybe to witness the atrocities of Walmart? Like, is that what they're saying?
To witness
Because it is something
Nightmare
to
Before
behold.
Christmas
Yeah.
pajamas. Yeah.
Nightmare
That's a
Before
thing.
Christmas pajamas. Oh no, it's true. It's so true.
But like to that question of like what is a ministry, like we as believers, you guys have said this before, like that Top did when he was talking with who's the Orthodox dude,
Alex Soren.
You brought up like, well, it's my understanding that all the believers are saints, And it's like,
That's
yeah,
the definition of the word, right?
yeah.
A living believer, though.
To be holy is to be set apart. It's the same word as saint, to be set apart.
You said that to him?
But yeah.
Yeah.
What was his response?
I don't think he liked it. I don't think he liked much of what Top said, but it was really good.
No,
It
I
was
mean,
a really
listen,
good
he was
conversation.
amicable.
He was a
No,
cool
it
guy.
was
No, it was a
very
fine
nice. Yeah, it was
conversation.
nice
I'm
to
just
see
saying
Top
I
be
don't
so
think any
nice.
agreements happened. Is
Yeah,
what I'm saying.
It's fine though.
But like to that same point, scripture also says we are a royal priesthood of believers. And so my point is there are no experts in the church.
But we should wear outfits like that if we're like a royal priesthood.
No, stop it.
Yes.
No, you dress like you dress. You go where you go.
I would love to see Matt in some priestly robes. That would be funny.
It would be funny.
Yeah.
Would never happen.
You know what it is? I think the terminology, everything gets hung. Because, like, if I were to say this is a ministry, then I would.
He's really into this, dude. You see where this is
Well,
going,
it's just
Top?
all of this
He likes
terminology,
this.
right?
He's
Like,
rubbing his hands.
You guys love the
if I
idea
was
of
to
us
say
starting
this
a
is
church.
ministry, then I would have to demand that there'd be some tithing. No, it's that
33%.
the word, damn, dude. 10% is the minimum. No, 33% is the minimum. So the words get in the way of, like, you would almost feel compelled to go like, oh, well, on as far as the definition of ministry goes, this does fit that description. What should we do about that? And that makes me want to throw that whole thing away and go like, I'm not doing anything different.
Here's what I would say. Stop trying to put a label on everything.
Yes.
Just recognize that you are a follower of Jesus Christ.
Yes.
And part of what it means to be a follower of Jesus Christ is to make disciples of all nations and to teach them to do the same. And for some, that's going to be just a word you have to give them. For others, that's going to be, hey, we actually need to talk, you and me. We need to sit down and talk about some things.
Right.
It's going to vary, but it's like, but is the intentionality there? And so I would just encourage you guys to lean into who you're called to be, and like don't try and make this like, oh, that's for the experts, because that's what the 501c3 does.
No, I could see the Raven
You know
now,
what I'm
like
saying?
at the grocery store tonight. It's people talking, what do you do? He's like, well, I have a ministry.
Oh, I do.
Don't do that. That's
I
worse
could
for
see him
you.
doing that.
I
now.
shouldn't have even
The
used
way
that
he's
word,
looking,
but-
I have look at his face.
Well,
Like, I
dude,
could
that's
totally see that
what
now.
sucks about having all these conversations is all these words have what they actually mean biblically versus what everyone thinks they mean biblically, and you almost have to use them the wrong way to even have the conversation.
Yeah.
And then I got to go back and go, so stop calling it a ministry now.
Right,
Just
right.
you know what I'm
Just call
saying?
it
Like,
your life.
it's like you got to work backwards, then work back forwards. It's very complicated. But that's all I got, y'all.
So somebody gave us 550 Jews and said, stay hydrated.
Wow.
Nice.
I don't know what that means, man.
I don't know.
I do like the coconut water, though, and the hydration.
I don't think that's what they gave you. They gave you juice.
Oh, whatever.
You have to first liquefy them.
So back to this idea of us starting a church. Top's like really into that, dude, where there's like a sermon right away, and then he does the music.
Yeah.
He's definitely not throwing up money signs, dude.
Whatever.
I just feel like
No, I'm baffled at, because I can tell he's trying to bring it in.
Oh yeah,
and he
yeah,
had
yeah.
a great opportunity.
Yep, it was
And
right
then
there.
he said, I'm going to continue.
Yeah. It was right there.
He's got to learn.
He
No,
even
no,
said,
I'm not anxious to end it. If you are, because I got time. I just got to do a thing at 3:30. I just want to make sure Zach had all of his chance to say everything he wanted to say.
I
that's-
got it, man.
I
We're
think
good.
that was when he said, "That's all I got."
Yeah.
I think that's what that meant. Yeah.
Okay, hit the close button, Top. Quit screwing around.
You're not going to have him do plugs?
Oh, now you want him to do plugs?
It's good to do them twice, I find.
Yeah, do the plugs.
All right, y'all. I'm from the Berean Files. We've been going for 4 months, 5 months now. And I would love your likes and subscribes and follows and 5-star ratings and all those things. But if you're on Spotify, I messed up and I made a creator profile and it created a whole second channel. So if you go to one with 0 ratings, don't do that one. Go to the other one with the ratings until I figure
Yeah, we
this
did
out.
that before.
Yeah.
Dude, it sucks. But yeah, otherwise, thank you.
And
Get at
Matt,
it.
you should
Get
plug
at
your stuff too. You have to tell them where to support your ministry.
StraightBible.com.
Oh my god.
Just kidding. Go to Patreon. That's like we have Patreon, we have Instagram,
should
and we
also
have
be
YouTube.
listening on audio.
Yeah, listen on audio. Dude, I don't even know what all the